Hello, everybody, and welcome. We're D&D Boyband, a group of friends that all like to play D&D Pretty Boys, because apparently it's not fantasy unless everybody's hot. My name is Jamie, and tonight we are finally beginning our brand new campaign that we've been planning for over a year now. I'm excited to finally, after lots of talking about it, reveal my entirely homebrew setting of Lukai, an unnatural world artificially created by the Gods 12, where each deity's influence affects a month of the year to imbue the lands with blessings and curses alike. Joining me tonight are a group of my closest friends who I've been playing D&D with for several years now. Ben, Erin, Sai, Clued, Eski, and Luke. Hello, everyone.
Wahoo! What's happening?
Bruh, we're here.
Yeah, Wagwan.
It's time. Yo, I have a bottle to celebrate the occasion.
Hell yeah.
Let's see if I make it to the end of the session.
The fated day has arrived.
There's a story behind the bottle, isn't there?
Not that they need to know.
Secret stuff.
Yeah.
So,
I guess.
before we start, I know you guys have been working really hard on new characters, so you are going to introduce them all yourselves, along with descriptions and some artwork that we have some announcements for. But before that, we do have some small announcements. And on that, Clued, if you could shout out about all the artwork we've had done.
Okay, well, the first thing is, actually, you can't see it yet, but you will see it soon. All our artwork is done by the mega talented, super awesome Han Limbon, who we commissioned to do some birthday art for Erin last campaign of Hayden. You may remember it. But she's back and she's done some sick stuff, and you'll see it throughout the episode. And yeah, she's amazing. It's awesome. Thank you, Han Limbon. Done.
Thank you, Henlin Vaughn.
Thank you.
On top of that, some of you may have seen some of the flyers that have been distributed around much of the UK, of which we have Erin to thank very much for designing them and making them. And I will throw over to Erin for some other thanks.
For sure. So I just wanted to do a huge thank you to all the comic book shops that have agreed to display our flyers in their shops. Including a couple people who even like put a bunch of our flyers like in their bags, like whenever customers would like buy things, and I was like, oh my god, this is like crazy. So thank you very much, you guys. I want to specifically shout out Harps Corp, who was our sponsor last week, and they're amazing. They're going to be showing off our flyers at Insomnia Gaming Festival next weekend, and at EGX and at MCM Comic Con in October. So keep an eye out for those if you go to those events. And also Get Ready Comics, Ray Gun Comics, Destination Venus, Elsie Psycher Works, Geek Retreat, Mutant Freaks, and also Forbidden Planet, Traveling Man, and Fanboy 3000, who all allowed us to put our flyers in your shops. So thank you very much, everyone. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Nerd Shops of the UK.
Thank you, Nerd Shops. And we also have a very special gift from our friends at Harps Corp. Jamie, do you want to show it off?
So this is currently what's getting me through the workday with free serotonin by basically this amazing dice tower by Harpsichord, which is very beautiful and has our logo on it. And I believe we have an unboxing video of it, and we all took it when we met up last week. And I'm going to be honest, rolling dice for this is incredibly satisfying. It makes the best click-clack sounds, and we're going to be using it as a pseudo box of doom for those of you Dimension 20 enjoyers for any important rolls that I'll try to have up to screen. So it looks really awesome. Thank you, Harpsichord.
Normies roll with that thing, and they loved it.
Oh
Loved
my god, we were like we were out at like a bar on the weekend, and we were playing with the dice tower, and then these like random people who don't play D&D were like, what is that? I want one. So good endorsement.
Very good endorsement.
Yeah.
And there's also a code, isn't there?
Yes, so you may have noticed in the bottom corner down there that we have a code, which is Boyband. If you go to the Harps Corp website, you can get 10% off anything from their store by using that code. So go check it out.
You should.
And final announcement before we get into the game is that in kind of preparation for this and everything else, I have designed a selection of community one-shots. The first one, I believe, is scheduled for the 10th. We will be posting the link and sign up in Discord. First come, first served basis. Basically, we'll be running a campaign set either in the present or near past of the campaign, similar to the one-shots we've done, where you guys will get the opportunity to come potentially play with some of us, set some stories about the world, build out the world, and try D&D if you haven't tried it before. So yeah, that will be part of our Discord. Please join to get notifications about it if you'd like to come and play. And I think the first one will be an archaeological dig in the Lost Isles.
That sounds
I will be
fun.
there.
Can you
I
dig
will
it?
be there or I will die.
Yes, you can.
Nice.
Uh,
Is that all of our
So-
announcements?
I think that is everything.
Do we play now? Is it time?
I'm genuinely quite nervous to start.
Oh my god, can we do it? I'm sorry.
It's happening, you guys!
It's happening. It's a new campaign. Oh.
Been waiting
Wait,
so long
Clued,
for this.
roll a d20 to determine how this entire campaign goes.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
My
I'm going.
eyes
I'm going in.
nervous.
And you know, the dice I'm gonna roll was made for me by Geckohedron, who I'll talk more about next week. But she makes custom dice. She's amazing. Mwah. Oh no, guys, it's a 4.
It's
I've
alright.
rolled a
Gonna-
4.
I'm gonna take an
No,
extra
I
large
rolled
sip of
out
wine.
the bad luck.
I was
Yeah.
expecting a 4, don't worry.
I
It's all
rolled out
good.
the bad luck. It's fine. 4, the death number in some Eastern cultures.
Something.
True. There's gonna be so much character death in this campaign. Oh god.
Right, Jamie, get it over and done with then.
Alright, let's do this.
Let's
So-
die.
And now, let's begin our new story in Lucaille. The first arc has the tagline, Taming the Stormlands. But, before that, go back a second to an unfamiliar land for all of you. In the distance, volcanoes erupt. You can hear the din of battle far off into the distance. Behind you, a many-headed god roars in defeat as she is pushed back into a portal. However, none of that matters to you. The battle is won, but all you can feel is blood beginning to make its way up your throat as you've bitten off your tongue and you're staring up at a blonde-haired man who has just buried his sword into your neck. As you feel your life begin to slip away, you see a black gauntleted hand reach out, smashing the blonde man over the head, who falls to the ground. The same hand reaches out to you, and you can barely reach back. And in that moment, all you can think is, I wish that we could have been happy. And something flashes in your hand, and your vision goes white. And you awake from what must have been the fragments of some awful dream, staring down at a table you don't recognize. And it takes a small while waking up from this groggy sleep, but you suddenly realize you have no idea where you are, barely have an idea of who you are, and why you're here. Your arrival doesn't go unnoticed. Far, far away, in a sanctified, dimly lit grove, intertwined between the various mushrooms and trees that make this grove their home, the denizens of this grove look as an item much of them have just long remembered has always formed the heart of their grove, suddenly bursts with light, shooting up into the sky, and small fragments of it break off, shattering in all directions. And all that it can be heard are the murmurings of disquiet beneath as the denizens of the grove look up and see that this object they've been tasked with protecting has shattered, completely unaware of why and how. However, to a happier time, our journey and our adventure begins in an entirely different part of the world. On the continent of Elithra, settled between the preserves of the Court of Endless Summer and the Tempest Grasp, on the edge of the Emerald Passageway Mountains, we come to Fort Valor, where there is a festival being held in preparation for a trial of skill that will determine which groups are sent off to rid the Stormlands of Razor Jaylin, a notorious bandit who has long terrorized the region. A call to arms has gone out, which I think Erin has a wonderful wanted poster of. No, sorry, an inscription of, that has requested adventurers from all across Lucaille come and make their fortune The Bulwark of Honourable States and the Creditors Federation have joined together to fund this operation. Put on this festival and move towards eliminating Razor and bringing the Stormlands to a much more prosperous state of being. So, to zoom in to this festival, the Festival of Unity has transformed Fort Valor into a breathtaking panorama of colours, sounds, and scents. The heart of the fort, once a stern stronghold, now pulsates with life and merriment. The celebration, like no other, is designed to bring people together and give them hope for the lands around them. As you approach the festival, you are greeted by a grand archway made of intertwining branches and adorned with banners of every state and guild that makes up both the Bulwark, Federation, and those from back in Dominus and Atuin. Tantalizing aroma of exotic spices, roasted meats, and sweet pastries wafts through the air, inviting visitors to indulge in the culinary delights from all corners of Likai. And in the center of this festival, there's a race course where we meet the first two of our intrepid heroes, who I would like you to consider your characters and consider their ability at such things, and you describe them bearing in mind that they are sitting on the back of giant snails about to begin a race. Could I begin, please, with Erin?
Hello. So, you see on a giant snail. I'm talking like this is a snail that's probably about the size of a small bungalow. Sat on top is a man, a human man, who looks rather peculiar. He's about 6'2". He has an oversized green jacket on, and seems like he has a whole colony of mushrooms just growing on that jacket. He has some kind of fire lichen kind of creeping up the side of his face. It's not actually on fire. It's called fire lichen because it's quite spicy if you try eating it. I do not recommend eating this person though. I do not think he would like that very much. He also has kind of like an orange polka dot scarf around his neck and kind of like a web-like tattoo that crosses over his neck and along his arm. And he's wearing a pair of brown adventuring boots, kind of laced up to the knee, also seemingly covered in moss and mushrooms and little dainty blue flowers. He's looking pretty pleased to be where he is today, and he's kind of sat on top of this on this giant snail, and he seems quite kind of in his element, kind of like ready to go, but also a little bit in awe of like the hundreds or possible even thousands of people that are kind of in the stands watching this soon-to-be race. He turns over to his companion, Pod, and waves over to him.
I'm guessing this is my intro at this point.
It is.
It is. All right. Over, you will see, slightly contrary to the picture that's probably about to flash up on the screen, what looks like, again, another human male. Very unimpressive, very boring. If you had roll a high enough insight check, I assume, then you might notice that this human male is actually quite a simple bit of illusion disguise magic. He's got a big gold shield slung over his back, and he's currently mounted again on a huge snail. He looks a lot more comfortable on this huge snail, almost as if he might fit it because he's about 7 foot tall. But the human disguise is, for anyone who's not particularly magically attuned, looks like he's quite small for this gigantic snail. But nonetheless, he looks very happy and in very shabby clothes, looking like he's been around the world quite a bit.
Okay, so the slightly gruff-looking race master kind of goes up. First to 40 feet wins. Get set, ready, go. And the way this is going to work is you can all move 10 feet as a guaranteed movement forward. You can attempt to rush your creature, which will move you 20 feet forward, but you must succeed on a DC 12 animal handling check. If you fail it, you don't move. If you fail it by more than 4, you move 10 feet backwards.
Oh no!
Okay.
You are facing 2 other competitors. There are 4 of you in this race that I will be rolling for.
Alright.
So, I will go through each of you, starting with Toad. Could you please decide if you are just moving straight forward, or if you would like to risk 20 feet?
I'm gonna risk it. I want to win.
Okay.
Alright, let's go.
The
So-
DC 12, the first roll of the campaign, a DC 12 animal handling check,
Okay,
please.
okay. Well, first of all, I want to show you guys my dice bag. I bought it from Matthew May Create at MegaCon, and it's got mushrooms on it, and the inside is orange, so I thought it was very serendipitous when I found it, and I love it. And I'm gonna use my new dice that I made. I made this
Wow.
this set of dice, which I'll show you guys more later. But this one
Has that been checked for fairness? Okay.
Well, I made it with the supervision of spellcaster dice, so and she's an expert, so I'm sure it's fine.
She is indeed,
Alright,
yes.
let's roll this. I rolled a 17. Let's fucking go.
17, wonderful. Toad, your snail, as you kind of kick on the harness, it's not a horse, but for some reason it works as you hit whatever pressure points it had, and it surges is too kind a word. It moves faster in the direction you want it than everybody else, but you strike out, perhaps taking an early lead. Pod, what would you like to do?
Using my innate ability, Speech of Beast on Leaf, Pod would like to ask how the snail is doing today.
I'm fine. It's what you get back.
Yeah, he just starts a conversation. Sir, great race today. Have you done this many times before?
We're racing? What? Where?
Well, and he just points forwards. Forwards, I suppose. That
Oh.
direction? Somewhere?
It starts crawling forward at what would be considered a snail's pace. So you can talk to it, and that may give you advantage later. But for now, that is just 10 feet.
Yeah, no, he
the
looks
other-
completely content at the speed that the snail is
Okay,
going. And
the
he
other
continues to talk to it.
The other contestant is going. So the other contestant, the other one is going to take a same approach, and is going to go only 10 feet. The other one, however, is going to attempt to mirror Toad's early lead and roll a check, and that rolls a 19. So the fourth rider zooms off. So we have at the moment 2 tiers of races. We're going to go back to Toad. You are currently neck and neck with one other contestant at 20 feet, with 40 feet being the finish line. So you need to get over 40 feet to win. You are currently muted.
I gotta win this snail race. Come on, let's go. Alright. Oh no. Lady Luck comes and she takes it away as well. I rolled a natural 1.
Number 1.
Oh,
Toad,
no.
you see as you kind of kick it in the same place, thinking that must be it. And the snail kind of rolls to one side and tips over with you on it, and will currently require you to get it back on its side. Unfortunately, you are stranded at 20 feet. Pod,
have I done?
what would you like to do?
Um,
The crowd start jeering a tiny bit.
Pod would like to ask the snail. Well, I'm about to do it. He goes, it's not about winning the race. It's about the participation that really just gives you the feeling. It's I wouldn't worry about how fast you're going. It's about getting to your destination, and he's not any attempt to speed the snail up. Just going at a speed. Just no attempt to try and speed it. Just talking to it, unless it feels like doing it itself, but I highly doubt it does.
It just looks at you and, like, with both eyes kind of swim around.
Spinning on the.
Ooh.
The next thing you would ask it would be, I mean, how much out of interest, how much did it cost to enter this race? I assume it was like part of the festivities.
It costs 5 gold pieces. This is an
He'd
expensive
start
race.
asking. He'd start asking the snail how much, how
much?
much of a cut he's getting of the race.
I don't want to be cut.
No, not a cut. Like you get, you
You move 10
A,
feet forward.
and then he starts trying to
see?
explain basic economics to the snail.
Yeah, that's fine. So 20 feet, you draw level with Toad's capsized waters. The other one draws 20 feet as well. And contestant number 3 is going to attempt an animal handling check as well. Rolls a 7, which means they move back 10 feet. So
was
contestant
4?
number 3, They've created the pause, so you pull on the reins a little bit too hard, and the creature rears back a tiny bit. And you've never seen the underside of a snail this close and large. It's not a particularly nice sight as it goes back. Toad, I'm going to need you to succeed on a 12 animal handling check to just start the race again.
Oh gosh. Okay. Let's go. Oh no. Wait, let me check what my modifier is. Maybe that'll help me out a little bit. Okay, with my modifier, that is a 9.
It's a 9. Unfortunately not. You are stranded where you are. Pod,
No,
when you
I
are
can't
snail.
lift him. He's too heavy.
Pod,
Yep.
what are you up to?
You know
Yeah.
that he's not going to do another hand of handling. He's still attempting. Could I maybe attempt to like a intelligence check to see how well I explain the concept of basic economics and like wage?
Yeah, go for
equality
it.
to the
Roll a persuasion check.
Roll.
How well do you
Uh,
explain
That's just a flat 0. It's a 12. It's a 12.
a 12?
Yeah.
Attempting to explain it to a creature of an intelligence of 3? Nope. As you saw 12, again, you just kind of slowly move forward 10 more feet. So you're at 30 feet now. Test number 2, same. It's keeping pace with you, and you see there's like steely-eyed determination, and he clearly shares a philosophy about slow and steady runs the waste. The other one, the one that fell, this time is going to succeed and lurches forward to 30 feet. So we have Toad back at 20, everybody else is at 30 feet. Toad, you're up.
Alright, I'm gonna try again to get my snail back up and back in the race. Come on, let's go. I'm wearing my lucky mushroom jumper with a little snail on it. I got this from Tab Kimpton on at MegaCon, so.
Manifesting an upright snail for you, my guy.
Okay. I rolled a 17 and my modifier is a 4, so 21.
Nice one.
Wrangling with the snail and like trying not to look at the crowd, just kind of jeering, and the occasional tomato is being thrown at you. You manage to right the snail, and you get back on it, and next time you will be able to move. Quite
Nice.
distracted by this upside down snail and the incredibly close race between these all, there is a hooded figure making its way through the crowd, occasionally watching the race, but perhaps taking more advantage of the fact that everybody is distracted. Luke, what would they see under the hood if they could?
Ooh, wow. Oh, how much
Right.
do you want to know? Okay,
What
so
are you comfortable describing, I suppose?
so this individual is, well, it's a humanoid, you know, this is D&D after all. The way he moves is kind of blokish in demeanor, you know. You see the way he moves. He's probably common folk. He's a guy. However, you can see from his arms and maybe from around his neck, he's covered in fur, which, you know, there's fur bulbs around. It's not unusual necessarily, but it's not particularly healthy fur. So there's some signs of where he's maybe got a fur condition, where the fur is kind of sparse and patchy in places. A furball maybe, unlikely. He doesn't have that typical furball height going for him. His face is different as well. It's kind of snoutish, or the shape of his head at least, from what you can see, but also a little bit gaunt in the cheek. And his snout comes down into this dark pinkish, maybe sort of dark reddish nose at the end, with a couple of twitching nostrils. Either side of, so his eyes actually aren't immediately visible. He's wearing not a hood, but actually it's a hat. It's a faded black and slightly red tartan hat. So kind of like those very typical Scottish hats you see. You know, they're called, I think I've written it down somewhere, Tam O'Shanter. It's got one of those and it comes down over his eyes. It's old, it's heavy, it's sagging, probably with moisture to some degree. But his face isn't particularly visible. But it's got a little black pom-pom on top of it as well. So this guy, he's clearly of simple means. It's easy to see. His mouth is visible though, and it comes down in lines along this snout of his and bristles with teeth, and comes down at the very front, just beneath that nose of his, into 2 buck teeth, one of which is, I guess, gold. The other one looks not very healthy, maybe quite hard to tell actually. It's slightly yellowish, and then maybe one's gold, who knows. And for those with really keen eyes, maybe you could swear one of those teeth are just a shard of glass or something. just embedded in the back there somewhere. So that's the kind of face of the individual you see. Maybe he's got a little smile about him. He smells rough around the edges, like the rest of the locals around him. And he wears a kind of poncho, not a modern kind of like plasticky waterproof one, but a kind of like maybe sort of Highlandsy wrap. Sounds conspicuous, but this guy's wearing pretty muted tones, like a lot of the peasantry around him. Probably doesn't stand out that much. But that's the figure you see.
And what are you doing as everyone is distracted by the race? Are you watching? Are you taking advantage of it? What are you up to?
Well, our boy here has actually got some skin in the game. He's gambling. He's placed a bet on.
Very well. Who have you bet
He's
on?
going to win. Oh, he doesn't know who's who. He just knows that the bookies. He's gone with the advice from his contact.
Very well. To get it back. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, sorry, but I can say what he is doing.
Yeah, what is he doing? Go for it.
So what is this weirdo doing? This weirdo is through the crowd, alongside the kind of the crowd, and he is looking out for vagrants. He's looking out for pickpockets.
Yeah, he's looking out for pickpockets.
He's looking out for pickpockets is what he's looking out for.
Okay. Roll a perception check.
Boy, first roll. Shit, drum roll.
Is there a mirror in the area?
Let's go.
Set to the ceiling of every other roll of the campaign.
Cool. Sorry, perception check was it?
Yes.
See what comes out the back of that. What have we ended up with? It is a modest 11.
Modest 11. Look, you know crowds. You perhaps know the darker natures of people. You look around, and there are definitely people here that are too focused on the race, and you see maybe the odd hand sneak in, but you quickly lose whoever it was in the crowd. But you maybe clutch whatever positions you have, or you are aware that some people are probably going to go home a couple of coins lighter than they were otherwise. So,
cool.
To jump back to the race. So,
Hello. I'm ready. I'm rolling. I'm gonna go fast. Oh no! I'm so freaking cursed.
What did you roll?
I rolled a 4, so it's a total of 8.
Yeah, as again, you try like, right, we're up and running, we're going to go. You see the others only 10 feet ahead of you, but you know in a snail's race, that's a long distance. As you try to make it up, you slide 10 feet further back. Paul, you see the others neck and neck with you now. Maybe you don't, maybe you're focused on talking to the snail.
Mm-hmm. No, you'd notice it's not going quickly, so he's just sitting there, kind of smiling, waving at the guys next to him. If they look serious, they might look a bit confused back at him, as he clearly has absolutely no interest in going quickly.
So the other two, seeing the finish line ahead of them, look at each other, look at you. The one with grit, eye, determination in him is like, "This is it. This is my chance," and he's going to make a dash for the finish line as best the snail can. That's a natural 1. Contestant 3 has been biding his time this whole time, slowly moving, gets in position, is ready to go around that corner for the final bend, and the snail just stops, falls over, and lands on him, and you see him kind of like trying to squeeze out. So he's not winning. At least I don't think he is. And contestant number 3, the one who was keeping pace at the beginning, that's a 5. Okay, falls back. Okay. Given the strategy at the moment, Pod, you see yourself slowly walk forward. You look, you see the other 2 falling backwards one by one. You see one fall over, and you just keep talking to the snail about economics, trying to make him understand. And he seems to get lost whenever you mention anything about money or coins or anything that frankly isn't related to food. And
he starts trying to explain how coins can be converted into food if you ask the right people. And honestly, that's the primary drive for getting coins is
How
to
would
get
that go?
food.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Very well. And as you as the crowd roars, you are across the line and you are declared the winner of this race. As the crowd runs out to you, holds your
Yeah.
Congrats,
and everyone goes, "You're winner of the snail race of the Festival of Unity." What's your name? He kind of leans into you.
Hi, Pod.
Pod!
And then he points down. He asks the snail what his name is.
Oh.
So goes, name? I've never had a name.
Oh no.
Well, you need one now.
Ross.
Well, you need one now,
Ross.
buddy. You're famous.
Grass. I like
Grass.
grass.
Give him a name.
Pod and he goes pod and grass.
to pod and grass, and the crowd goes up and down, and you see somebody walks over to you as, unfortunately, despite breaking out to an early lead, Toad, you do come last. And as you arrange the pedestal later, the organizer goes, "Tough luck, mate. Here's a consolation prize," and you are handled a small little glass jar with a tiny little snail in it.
Oh my god, I've never seen such a beautiful thing in my entire life.
What?
I'm
You can
gonna-
have
I'm-
it if you want.
Oh my god. I am. And he's going to unscrew the glass jar and gently kind of like place his hand in the jar and wait for the snail to kind of like slowly onto his finger, and then he's gonna take it out and pop it onto his shoulder amongst all of the moss and mushrooms he's got there. And how does the snail look now that
It looks pretty happy. It starts, it goes up there and it starts munching away on one of them.
amazing? Oh, I have a new friend.
And your prize for winning is you are presented with 15 gold and a small wooden carved whistle bearing the symbol of House Lumina, the house that is the ruler of Fort Valor, where you are. 15 gold pieces. So, Arvis, how have you done in your bet? And what are you up to?
Let's roll a dice to see which one I ended up going for, because obviously
Or if you number one is winning, no, sorry, number two is winning, the other three are not.
Wait, 2 is winning, 3 is what?
If you roll a d4, 2 is winning, the other 3 aren't winning.
Cool. We roll. It's a 1, baby.
So you unfortunately bet on Toad, the loser of the event, and the bookies pocket your money and say, better luck next time, mate.
Sorry, Luke.
Don't worry, mate. It always comes back in.
And so, 2 of you, kind of, Toad, would you congratulate Pod?
Oh, absolutely. To be honest, as soon as Pod was declared the winner and I was still like 20 feet back, I was like on the back of my snail, like cheering, like, yeah, that's my friend over there, that's my friend, yeah, and he was cheering him on. So, yeah, and then once I finally do pass the finish line with my giant snail and I collect my prize and everything, my consolation prize, I'll go up to Pod and whack him on the back. Oh, well done, mate. You did great.
Thank you. Well, it was all grass actually. I didn't really do anything. I just tried to explain to him actually now you mention, and he pulls some of his winnings out of his pocket and he kind of like leans over to think where a snail might potentially accept gold, and he just kind of leaves it kind of on top of his head and he goes, you take care of that. That's for you. Good job.
Now the culmination of this festival is obviously at the field of trials, the trial of skill that will be determined which adventurers go off to be selected. However, between that, there are market stalls, performance stages, the racetrack, the Mystic's Alley, the Gardens of Reflection, and the fort itself, which has been thrown open on House Luminaire. The Gardens of Reflection. Amidst the facilities, there's a peaceful oasis, lush greenery, blooming flowers, and gentle water features trickle down a serene escape. And it's here where we find the next member of the group. Standing quietly, reflecting, looking up at the sky with a slightly puzzled look on their face, perhaps. Sai, could you please describe what people would see?
Okay, so at a glance, Quan looks like a typical human paladin. Impeccable posture with his head high, dull armor, and a shield on his back. He's standing, as you said, Jamie, alone, but nodding with a gentle smile and a polite greeting to anyone who passes by. But to anyone who looks a little closer, his light hair looks disheveled and pushed back from his face, just a few messy strands falling in front of his clear, light-colored eyes. And the only part of his appearance that seems as if any care was taken is a carefully plaited braid that wraps twice around his collarbone and trails all the way down his back, resting just below a neat row of kind of delicate jewelry hanging from his ears, light colors, blues and pinks. Although his clothing is mismatched and worn strangely to many of the people around. His trousers are patched and dirty, shirt wrapped tightly around his neck, and his armor is scratched. On occasion, he looks around carefully, as if completely unfamiliar with his surroundings, but stands with a bright confidence as he continues to watch the people bustling around him.
And what do you think Juan would be doing? Is it just is it observing? Is it walking around? Do you think any games he's played or anything take his interest, or do you think he's here to observe mostly and wait for the trial?
To be honest, he kind of almost looks like he's lost. Like he's stumbled upon this festival without any family or friends. And he's, in a sense, almost awkwardly looking around as people walk him by, people watching. He glances up at the sky, looks around at the sort of, I guess, festivities, and maybe to anyone that was watching him, might catch him touching some grass and some bushes along the roadside.
Leave that snail alone.
Not a gamer then.
As if completely absorbed by its beauty.
So,
Yo,
now,
can I get some of them?
Rose hit
Oh.
grass, I love it.
to anybody not paying a lot of attention, your behavior wouldn't pass itself off as unusual. You might have had a few drinks, you might just be taking in the air, the festival, enjoying it. But to anybody looking for something odd at this festival, you would stand out. And whilst you might not be entirely sure of why you're here, there is perhaps somebody who might know why. Standing off to a distance, perhaps intensely focused, I believe we're introducing Ben.
So we would see a medium height, heavy build, brown haired Caucasian man, disheveled beard, large kind of faded grey traveler's overcloak, covering regular leathers, but probably what we all see and what hides neath the surface of this unobtrusive figure is a face of pure alabaster skin, human-ish, if you can call it that, long, slender, kind of pixie ears, a sunken, kind of almost gaunt-looking nose, sunken eyes, which have no pupils, and irises completely white, shine with a strange sort of pearlescence. Beneath the lips as well, 2 rows of ever so slightly pointed teeth, and pure white hair. Really, the only distinguishing feature about this character would be the red strands braided carefully through their long plait, which they would wear over their shoulder. However, that is not what many of our audience would see in this scene, and Atropos sits sort of knife in hand, whittling something, a pipe in his mouth, and what the keen observer would notice is that strange, same pearlescence cover their eyes, and what they look into is this kind of strange black and white, almost faded world where everyone walks with an echo, vibrations coming off people, which this figure seems to be very much concentrated on.
And as you look up, you're looking at this figure in front of you, a couple of feet away, but you see size character. Could you make a reading roll? Well, a weave reading roll.
I sure can. Oh my goodness. Okay, so
Now one. Let's go.
Praise good.
I got a
Praise
15.
God.
Yeah. So, yep. In this case, the reading succeeds. Could you roll a d100 for me?
Okay. Right. I've got some very... Ooh, I'm going to roll in person for this roll.
We're not having this argument. On
Are we gonna quibble about this? I got
No,
80
you're
I got
gonna
an 80 and a 0. So I
right.
would
You're
say
gonna
that's
tell
80.
me what it is, and I'm
Okay.
gonna trust you that your system is fine.
Okay, I got an 80 then.
Okay, you got an 80.
The joy of homebrew systems.
As you peer into this alternate world, examining the threads that bind together everybody here to the larger collective, you realize there is, even to you are not the foremost readers, delineators, diviners of your guild, but even to you, despite this not being exactly where your target or where you've been assigned to is, something is very wrong. There is someone here who you would certainly describe as an aberrant. And even you can tell. And as you look back up, you look forward, and just at this moment, Quan, you feel a shove on your shoulder as somebody brushes past quite violently.
And he says to you, "Out of the way, paladin." And stepping out from behind you and pushing against your shoulder is a young man. He is slim, with a kind of elegant bearing, and he struts more than walks past you, with like sculpted waves of black curls bouncing about his head as he makes his way forward. You only really catch his side profile as he walks past, but you can tell that he's clearly a tiefling, a kind of pale, soft sunset pink, with two similarly pale horns curving upwards and kind of backwards. His eyes are vibrant, glowing green, and are set kind of he's staring straight ahead in black sclera, totally disinterested in so much as looking at you. His profile is annoyingly perfect, actually, and he has a self-satisfied little smirk on his lips, which are curled upwards, which are assumedly his default expression. He carries himself like someone who knows that people like to look as he walks past, and he enjoys every second of it. He is dressed very well. From head to toe, it is obvious that every piece he wears is expensive. For anyone who knows anything about the clothing trends of the world, he is in the latest fashions from Sacramar. It's a planned and well-executed outfit in silks, leather, ruffles, and black, pale green, and white. And from fitted shoulders and vest to like tight black trousers, like ass-revealing trousers and some buckled thigh highs, the entire outfit is covered in pearls, individually stitched on. It must have taken some poor soul somewhere in the world absolutely ages. And at his collar is a piece of embroidery that maybe catches your eye. It looks like a skeleton in maybe kind of like iridescent pearly shades and silver. And his hips sway as he walks ahead of you, slim little pink tail flicking lazily behind him. And you note at his hip maybe a rapier, emerald inlaid, really quite beautiful, and a large black book in a holster at his side. And finally, stalking behind him is a large, really very silky black panther which follows behind him in neat tandem with every step that he takes. And in short, this guy has absolutely no intention in talking to you, and he just walks straight on by, spitting the word paladin as he goes.
As in this moment, Ben, Mercy, you look back up and your eyes are immediately transfixed on this image, this swaying hipped person walking away from you. And you can conclude from that what you will. Quan, how would you react to this visage smashing past you?
Does Casimir give Quan any chance to say anything?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Well, Quan looks completely winded. Didn't seem like that hard of a kind of push for someone of Quan's size.
Your Casimir's strength score, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, Casimir looks far too pretty to be able to push over someone like Quan. But yeah, but he does look completely winded. And to Mercy, watching this, Quan stands there probably for a good five minutes, completely still, watching Casimir's kind of watching Casimir walk back into the crowds and out of sight. I guess if Mercy wants to look
Quan.
harder, then Mercy can.
No, Quan, as this person leaves, your sudden winded is replaced by, I can only describe it as this sinking feeling as you're going down a roller coaster and your stomach just drops out. And it's not in a caring way. It's as if something deep within you is saying, this person, if I don't help them, something awful is going to happen. And you don't know why or where that feeling comes from or what it means. But despite the interesting first impression, as they leave, you are overcome with this sense of, panic's too strong a word, anxiety about this person and their future.
So what you're telling me is my paladin senses are tingling.
Possibly. And it's then that you probably notice the figure that up until now you didn't pay much attention to, despite its oddly intense stare, stand up and begin to follow this figure. Your senses are still fairly honed. You don't know how, you don't remember being a hunter or any of that, but somehow your tracking and your ability to observe your environment fine-tuned, and you begin to see this other figure following this rude tiefling that has just pushed past you.
Jamie, can I just say that before one would have seen that, he would have noticed Mercy, the hunter kind of gatherer looking dude, come up to him and just say, "I'm sorry," and then immediately turn and walk after the other one.
So neither of these people give Quan a chance to say anything as they just
He has this like
assault him.
existential dread.
Oh my
Where
God.
he's just like, "What?"
People here are rude. Holy shit.
You're just touching grass, man. This is so fair.
Yeah, I mean, I guess as Mercy walks off, he has even more bewildered, slightly. His smile is definitely strained at this point. As he looks around, completely confused at what's just happened.
And you can look down, and the symbol kind of have hanging around your neck that you didn't so recognize has suddenly gone very cold. And if you look at it, it seems to have gone a slightly darker shade than the gold it was previously. So, Astropos, what would you be doing as you followed Casimir? As I presume, based on where we are, Casimir, you are striding through the festival straight towards the tent where the combatants or aspirants for the trial of skill are waiting.
Well, I have no time for games, so I shall be ignoring the festival around me. If anyone so much as smiles in my direction, I'll probably scowl straight back at them or give them the most strange smile anyone's ever seen. Yeah, just continue straight on ahead. If anyone is in the way, they will be probably walked over by my panther.
Yeah, if you don't manage to force your way through, as soon as someone turns, looks at you, and sees the hulking panther behind you, they immediately give you some birth.
Yeah, it probably growls occasionally at anyone that's slightly too close.
After
Yeah.
Ross.
I believe I have something to pick up in the tent before the trial starts, so that is my priority.
Wonderful.
So, to Atropos, whose eyes, the only giveaway are this pearlescent white, it's the trail is very easy to follow, because as the kind of various vibrations and echoes of the infinite decisions of everyone around him, there is this void where suddenly this trail left by this figure, all of the items, whether it be a knife, a tent, or a person, suddenly condenses back into one single thing as their various threads of possibility are absorbed, possibly deleted, whatever is happening to them. So the trail, they follow this absence as they move through the tents until they find the one which is completely devoid of future.
Absolutely. And you continue to follow and walk behind this figure as it marches to the tent. So, Quad, you picked up a flyer. That's why you're here. And something about you called to this place, called to what was happening here, and this tiefling walking past, and this feeling is the most direction you've had in the past 7 days as to what you should be doing. Do you follow?
Wait, say that last bit again.
Sorry, this feeling you've had about this tiefling
Mhm.
and the human who pushed past you is the most kind of direction you've had in the past 7 days about what you should be doing. Do you
Yeah,
follow?
absolutely. I mean, just out of, I guess, pure curiosity, and he's got nothing better to do, so he's just gonna follow after Mercy and try and keep track of, of maybe try both of them if Casimir's completely not out of his vision.
His
Casimir,
his horns are pretty tall, so you
Yeah.
probably see the occasional bob as they like weave through the crowd.
What color are they?
Quite pale. They're like a light sort of brown, not too saturated. Little desaturated actually.
Casimir, you are the first to arrive at the tent of preparation for the trial. You walk in, you look around, various benches laid out, various tools, a couple of target dummies, various weapons, some things that maybe you don't recognize what they're for, but they're here, and you see what you're after on seem to just been left almost discarded off to the side on top of a barrel.
Is there a large bench anywhere, DM?
Yes,
That people
there
would
is.
sit on? When I see an empty large bench, I'll look down to my panther, nod to the bench, and say, "Go, take it." And it will sprawl itself and take up the entirety of the largest seating place, clearly meant for other people.
Yeah, without
And he will
hesitation.
take the other.
Yeah, with obeying your command, without hesitation, it immediately goes and just slinks up and kind of sprawls out, one paw on one side and its tail taking up whatever is left of the other side.
And
After
then I'll take the things I need. A large
Yes.
book should be one of them.
yes,
Flick through it absentmindedly and make myself busy reading through this thing.
very well. The book is various theories of the Shard of Unity and the origins of Lukai.
Fantastic.
A book you have
fascinating
read
reading.
many times in your homeland and was the subject
Mm-hmm.
of a first-year entrance exam, and you kind of think, how basic.
He's probably smirking as he reads it, occasionally shaking his head, going, I said something difficult.
You probably could have done it without the book. Now,
Mm.
after approximately a minute, after pause, you make your way to this tent and walk in, and you see this panther sprawled out and Casimir, cross-legged, reading the book. Completely
He doesn't
engrossed,
cross his
distracted.
legs. I don't think.
sorry,
he
my
can. I
bad.
think his trousers might be too tight for that.
That's fair enough.
So the kind of trapper, hunter-gatherer type looking man steps into the tent and somewhat strangely immediately turns and starts tying up the various rope cords to stop it from opening, and then turns to face Casimir.
Have we just locked the door on us? Out of character.
Yes, I've tried
Lock
to.
the fabric door of the
Locked
tent.
the Okay, cool. Yeah, he's completely enraptured in his book. He's not. You don't see him spend any time at all on the pages. He's looking at one, going next, flipping over, and he seems to be getting through it as quickly as he possibly can.
Jamie, quick reading. Is this panther gonna be a threat? Do I need to do I see this going in the various threads, or can I see anything? Is the panther?
You cannot see anything.
Okay, fine. Right. Well, I will step forward and confidently kind of walk towards Casimir. And
As he walks towards him without looking up, he's quite a slim guy sat on a big bench, and he just mutters, "Bench is taken, find somewhere else." But he doesn't look up. He's not paying any attention, really.
you've woven a convenient disguise, but I can see it for what it is. Aberrant.
He blinks and his head moves up slowly. Sorry, what?
Tell me your name.
Ivor Montague, heir to the House of Law in Varsala, and he brings his hand up, and he wears a large signet ring with a big M on it. And I feel like, to Mercy, it might be quite obvious that this ring is way too big for him.
Mercy, you can tell that whatever that was, it was a lie. Perhaps. Because to you, that's not the fate of this person.
No. Ivor Montague still lives. You are not him. But whatever your name, it makes little difference. And without very much kind of inflection, Mercy goes to strike Casimir.
Okay, Casimir. Indignant at what has been said, you take to your feet to defend what has been said, and as you do, you kind of drop the book and turn it to one side. And Mercy, that kind of takes you off guard, and you end up punching the book. Just straight through to the other side, and it kind of clatters to the other side, and you just completely miss Casimir.
Okay, I'm gonna go for a...
I don't know who sent you, but you have the entirely wrong end of the stick.
I'm gonna go for a neck grab, a Vulcan neck pinch kind of thing. Worked every time before. Never fails me.
Okay, as you lunge forward, Casimir, completely taken aback, could you roll a dexterity saving throw for me?
Oh boy. Okay, 14.
14. That's okay. As you lunge forward, you see this coming, but you take a step back, completely forgetting about the bench, and you trip over and you fall backwards, just completely evading Mercy.
From the ground, he looks up and he says, "If he sent you, he'll never take me alive." And his eyes flash very, very briefly, and he looks to the door, finds it shut, seeing it shut, looks back with a scowl on his face.
You've destroyed enough futures. And Mercy, I guess, like somersaults backwards, lands on a knee, and tries to go in for a headlock as Kazim is on the floor.
I think he's
Okay.
probably trying to scramble to his feet at this point, because, you know, the floor is not the place to defend your life.
Yeah, Mercy, you kind of see this happening. You see a couple of seconds in the future, and you know you're going to try to headlock him. And as you do, you slip on one of the pages in the book that you've hidden, and now you go tumbling into the side of the fence, inside of the tent, and cause a rip to appear there. As taken completely off balance, completely unsure of what is happening.
Is this kidnapping or assassination? Which either it isn't very good. And he just kind of get to his feet, and rather than brush himself off, he prestidigitates himself off. Just straightens himself and maybe cracks his neck. And at this point, I think his panther is off its bench and growling behind him.
Yeah, and as you kind of make your way to your feet, you realize that you have got tangled up in the tent.
What are you? How is this? I don't understand. This never happens.
Do you normally successfully assassinate innocent individuals in tents, or do you normally not fall on your face and get caught in rope?
You've done something. The weave is more damaged than I even could see.
Look,
Tell me who sent you.
tell me who sent you. Go back to Sacramar and tell the Praetor that if he's going to bring me back home, he's going to have to do much better than this. At least 5 of you.
I assure you, I have no connection to Sacramar.
Oh. Wait, do I believe him?
Make an insight roll. How did we agree we're doing this in the party? I can't remember.
It's a 4.
Yeah, it's a 4. Yeah, you. That's. I mean, you can make your own judgment, but I would say you're tilting towards, earnesty.
Fine.
And
That was
at this point, Mercy, your fist becomes clear. Could you make an attack roll for me?
Sure can. I got a 10.
Don't think that hits Casimir's AC, right?
No, it doesn't.
No. So as you do, you're about to get there, and this one stops an inch from Casimir's face. As you hear ripping, and Quan, what weapon is Quan using?
A shield and a longsword.
So your longsword. You see it cuts the knots, and you walk in, and you see as both people turn to you with Casimir's with the person you don't know either of their names, with the tracker hunter's fist about that far away from the tiefling's face. Both of them turn to you as if you've just interrupted something fairly serious.
Good lord, what in hell's name is going on here? Good sir, look. And he turns to Atropos. Violence is never the answer. Please, whatever this man has done, surely it could be talked out. And he kind of helps him up, and he kind of like sort of fusses over Atropos and is like, have you been drinking? Do you feel well? Is there anything I can help with?
It's you. After what this one has done to you, you should be helping me.
I don't quite understand what you mean.
Me either, for clarity.
And
Well-
as Casimir speaks, Quan kind of turns around and dusts himself off and offers a hand to Casimir and a smile. Despite having been rudely approached in the street and pushed out the way.
He moves to take it for like half a second, then immediately folds his arms and says, if I wanted a knight in shining armor, I would have looked elsewhere, thank you.
What's a knight? Sorry, have I offended you? And he like wipes his hand as if the issue of like his hands being too sweaty or dirty is the problem, and he kind of like puts it in front of you again.
Casimir looks down at the hand for a long second and back up at Quan, and very begrudgingly he reaches out and takes it. And mercy to you, it looks like Casimir is being caused pain by this action of having to take a paladin's hand, as he really limply and with
Yes.
zero conviction takes your hand and shakes it and very quickly retracts.
Quan, it's really strange. When Casimir touches you, all you can think about for a second and taste in your mouth is yams.
Uh,
I have that effect on people. It's fine.
you need to research yams.
I probably as they make contact, like some horrendous like ripping happens, and like you would both see the form of Atropos kind of like melt away until there is this pure white kind of like goblin-esque humanoid creature standing before you, and they kind of shriek as you clasp hands.
Well, I didn't expect that.
And as that happens, two people walk in.
This tent is so chaotic.
A tall, lean man in his late 50s, crown of silver hair, wearing rich robes of gold and white, eyes striking shade of blue. He scans it, immediately assessing what's going on and who's here. And the other one is... Sorry, my bad. Checking notes. Please talk much. No, I'm kidding. Another one is kind of a halfling, about half the height, auburn hair, braided into golden threads, wearing the symbol of the Creditors Federation along a large sash. Either of you, if you have all three of you, I don't think Quan would know. Casimir, I don't think you'd bother. Mercy, when doing research, you would recognize this to be Leora Quickhand of the Creditors Federation. Title is Liaison. And also this would be Kalim Luminar, Patriarch and leader of As Luminar. And I look at you and says, not enjoying the festivities, are you? You must be keen to start the trial. Yes?
Why, I'm here, sir.
Good. Well, you are a little early. Feel free to come in, but we should be starting in about 20 minutes. So I expect the rest. We'll make the announcement. You're the one with the book, right? Odd request. What have you done with it? This isn't part of it, right? You need another one?
No, I'm quite all right, thank you. We've had an accident, and he looks to the white goblinoid creature and the tear in the tent. As well, I'm sure.
Well, is it? And looking straight at Mercy and Quan.
I mean, everything is quite under control. I think we had a minor disagreement. And he kind of looks over to the goblin. It's like, I'm sure everything's fine anyway.
The goblin nods. This is a costume.
Is it part of your performance?
Yes.
Are you applying, or have you got lost?
It's part of my trial of skill.
They're a magnificent comedic act, if I must say so myself.
Well, actually, I mean, you have to be quite talented to sort of change your form in this nature. I mean, really, I would imagine he would definitely be someone very useful to, and he's like kind of trailing off, trying to get to grips of like what this trial is, but he has no idea what it's about.
Yes.
Maybe it's a theater trial. Maybe.
Yes. Intrigue, certainly. You could involve yourself and find Razor's location by pretending to be one of her. Most promising. So I told you, Alara, this wasn't a doomed venture. Kind of looks at him and says, I'm merely here to protect the investments of the guild, and I hope to see more than carelessly destroyed book and broken tent. And with that going on, Pod and Toad, what would you have been getting up to for the 10-20 minutes you have left at the festival? Would you be celebrating your winning? What would you...
I feel like... Are there any food stalls?
There are absolutely food stalls, yes.
Yeah, I mean, fantastic.
You've got 15 gold given to you, so what would you be looking for?
I mean, Pod doesn't have a fantastic concept of like, you know, the value of money or any of that stuff, so he doesn't care a huge amount about it. So he probably would have given most of it to Pod. No, sorry, not to Toad, and yeah, and then just straight up spent a few
Sure.
gold pieces on some nice party festival food. you
Yeah,
know?
as you're leaving,
Maybe some,
kind of
like,
a vendor
cornmeal
drags you
looking
over
things.
and says, "May I offer to lighten your coin purse? Here we have, from the Ender Stream, the latest in magical cuisine. These creatures, never before seen in Lukai, have only recently developed. Even I don't know what they taste like. May I interest you?"
Well, my coin purse is not that heavy actually, so it's not really much of a problem. but
Merely
thanks for
50
the
silver
offer.
pieces.
It's 50. I mean, sure, yeah. Why not? This what have I got? And he
Like I said,
gestures.
we have simply bought them this morning from one of the various hunters that have returned. We have made it into the stew, and it is yours.
Ah,
Desire.
mystery meat. Ah, my favorite.
Truly mystery meat. Even I do not know where it is from, or from what beast was slain.
So,
Gathered.
so he leans over to smell, and then I'm assuming it's like a stool with it, and like
Yeah.
about 2 foot taller than where his head appears. He kind of like bashes his head a little bit on the thing, and kind of recoils a little bit, which looks very confusing to the shopkeeper that he's talking to.
Yeah,
Yes.
it smells incredibly gamey. You definitely see a tentacle or two. You're not sure.
Ah, you build things for such small people. Okay. Yes, sure. And he gives him 50 pieces.
Could you roll a D100 for me as you eat this?
Say, do I need to roll a con save?
No, just a D100.
D100. Let's roll straight D100. Okay. 78, I think.
Cool. Could you roll a
Con save.
a wisdom saving throw against your own DC?
Sure.
Correct, mate.
What's my own DC? Oh, I rolled a 2. Yeah, I lose.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
as you're walking away, you see Pod happily chewing into the stew, and then he stops for a second, and like one of his ears that was human turns back into a furbolg ear, and then immediately turns into a sheep ear. Then the other one turns into a sheep ear. That's the note, and he just turns into a sheep in front of you.
Wait, let's get polymorph.
Boy.
Can I still speak? As a sheep?
No, you could bar as a sheep.
Oh, okay. Because what he tries to say is, "Well, this is a strange turn of events."
I
It
feel
probably
like
just
this
comes
is
out something
racist
like,
against the.
"Bah."
This is
UK
definitely racist against furbolgs.
This is the wild magic table. It's not my fault.
Oh my god.
Yeah, polymorph. Of all the ones, man.
You
Oh.
literally roll. You cast polymorph on yourself. If you fail the saving throw, you turn into a sheep. For the spell duration.
How long is the
That's one
spell's
friend.
duration?
20 minutes.
I
You now have a sheep standing next to you, looking up expectantly, in the same kind of expression Pod had before.
With just like a little tentacle just sticking out his mouth.
Yeah.
He's still chewing on.
Sit down.
I think it suits you.
Yeah.
Do you want some more?
Yeah, he nods as a sheep. Yeah.
Toad will hold up the bowl of soup to Pod so he can keep drinking it as a.
Is it not dangerous to be a sheep in front of a meat vendor?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Don't worry, I'll look
Yeah,
after
maybe.
him.
I have a surprisingly high AC as a sheep. I have, you know.
Arvis, what are you up to?
I feel like my mate. What he was trying to do earlier was have a look. You know, not pickpocket the people so much, but pickpocket a pickpocket because they have big pockets full of pockets full of other people's pockets.
Yeah, absolutely.
However-
I'll allow you, if you would like, to make a stealth roll, followed by a sleight of hand check to see how successfully that goes.
Okay, I can do these things. I think I can achieve this. Go on, it's an 18 on the stealth. Go on,
Very
son.
good.
I think
Very
it's
good.
wrong.
A sleight of hand check, which with
Mm,
that roll
we
you may
can-
have advantage on.
Oh, I can do that. Oh, it's 22. It's 22.
Okay, we will come back to exactly what that means. But Arvis, you look at your race and what you just did was your introduction. You saw the pickpockets, and as you go through, you just fall into the background as you have done many, many times. And in this more stealthy position, you are able to better find out those who are wishing to be unseen by practicing the paths yourself. And you get a better idea, and you are slinking around thing, and it is a small matter to deprive these evildoers of their ill-gotten coin and set the world to rights by returning it to those who deserve it most. You. And across all of that, you may gather 6 gold pieces.
Oi, jeez. That's like a month's paycheck for some people.
It's very, very good.
Nicely done.
And as Kaelin and Leora begin to kind of gather all of you to begin the test of skill, there is an uneasy silence, I presume, in the tent as slowly people filter in, unless Quan, Mercy, and Casimir, you would be saying anything to each other in that time. But bear in mind, there are slowly other members who are going aspirants to join one by one. The Panther is still spread out, and people are giving it a wide berth. Casimir, some people walk in, they don't really seem to give a shit when you say it's taken, and they just fromp down next to you.
He rolls his eyes, but before that, I think he would have sidled a little closer to Mercy and Quan and just whisper, "Just to clarify, you're not an assassin from the Order," he'll ask of Mercy.
Well, I don't know which order, but if you mean an order from Sacramar, then no, I am not. But whether or not I am an assassin, I must say that I was instructed to stop you from destroying people's futures.
I don't know if that's flattering or something very different. We'll talk about this later. Paladin, you assumedly are from the Order, though, here to babysit me, take me back, ruin my life further. He's like smiling such that anyone watching this conversation would just see someone being quite friendly.
Sorry, what order are you speaking of? And he's looks completely and utterly bewildered. Like, there is no way that someone so genuine is kind of, you really don't get the sense that this person is a good liar, can really hide their emotions very well. And he sort of looks to Mercy as if for help, and turns back to Casimir and says, "I can assure you, I have no intention of babysitting you or anything of the sort. Are
So you're following me? Why?
Because you stole his future, of course.
Right.
No. No. And he kind of like gives a very awkward laugh and says, "I am here for the event. I heard some raised voices, and well, how could I, not interfere if this is clearly some great big misunderstanding, right? I mean, you're not from the Order of whoever, and
Sacramar.
yes, and actually there's no problem, right? I mean, we're all just here to enjoy the event, surely."
No, there's no problem aside from the obvious assassination attempt on my life, which I can overlook.
Well, sorry, what was your name again?
Ivor.
Ivor. Ivor, I think it's good to remember that some people make mistakes. And he looks over to Mercy and says, "Clearly, this man..." Wait, are you still a goblin?
No, I've changed back.
Okay. Clearly, this man is confused in some way. Although there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Some people just... anyway. And there's been a mistake. So I'm sure that assassination really was never on the table.
I tend to find when you're so confused you make an attempt on another's life, you're probably in the category of needing to be arrested and put down. But I could be wrong. Maybe it's all fine. Convince me later.
Mercy turns entirely to... Sorry.
Sorry, no, go for it. Go for it.
Mercy turns entirely to Quan, although he doesn't know, and says, "Please, I'm going to be honest, because you look like you're a warrior who could be useful to me at this point. This creature is an interloper from another dimension who does not belong in our universe. They have no fate, they have no past, and they must be destroyed lest they harm others. That is what has happened to you. It is why I do not know your name. I am not in the custom of asking, but I will do so now. You may call me Mercy.
That's a little on the nose, isn't it?
Yes, that sounds very difficult for you, Mercy. And he kind of puts his arm around Mercy's shoulders and says, I understand it might be hard for you. I just think sometimes we have to take a deep breath and remember where we are and what the appropriate behavior is. And you know, I'm happy to talk to you about this this
Hallucination.
monster that appears to be bothering you, but it seems like this man has no intention of harming anyone.
Juan, could you make a wisdom saving throw for me?
Excuse
Oh.
me.
Yo.
I can. Let's have a look.
Good luck.
She can, but does she want to?
That's a 5.
Okay.
Living up to my t-shirt, which by
That's
the
fine.
way I am wearing.
Guess I'll die.
Okay, that's
oh my God, that's
cool.
good.
We'll leave it there.
Wait, what do you mean leave it there?
As this conversation is going on, everyone else filters in, one by one. Various people join, pick up weapons, swords, bows. An odd couple arrive. Brown-haired man with mushrooms growing out of him, with a sheep. In lead arrive, but eventually a skulking figure come in, and it perhaps gets too busy. There's too much noise, and whatever conversation you were having in private is drowned out by everybody. And then announcing to all of you, Lord Calum Luminar arrives and says, everybody, we will be beginning in approximately 5 minutes. You will be called at random. We've already drawn lots with your names on it. And you shall perform your task, at which point some of you will be selected, and sadly, some of you will not be. Although, if you are not selected, you are still welcome to sign up for the General Army. The rest of you will be sent on the special mission and be eligible for the reward, should you so choose. Good luck to all of you. Best fortune. May Helm smile upon all of you. Best of luck. The crowd will be watching, as will I, and as will my daughter. Thank you. And that is where we will leave the first half of the first session of the new campaign. Thank you everyone for watching. Please come back to see what they are going to do to impress these people to be selected for this mission, and how perhaps wrong or right that goes, and who will be the rival group. Thank you everyone for watching. Catch you soon. Hello everybody. Welcome back to the first session of the first adventure in Lukai. The group, just quickly to recap, have been introduced to the festival in various ways. We've had snail racing. We've had an attempted assassination. We've had somebody turn into a sheep already. I will be honest, the wild magic table may have been rogue, given some of those options could have changed the campaign dramatically already. But this is where each of you has been asked to prepare for a trial of skill. As the various people flood into the tent, there are 40, 50 people here. You look around, you take stock of everybody, you examine whether or not you think you're going to do better than some of them. Some of them clearly have just appeared out of nowhere. Some of them seem to be hardy adventurers. Some of them clearly look quite young. Some of them look quite hardened. And those of you who seriously are here to try to compete for this, size up your competition. Those of you who are here for other reasons, maybe aren't quite so focused. And as kind of the synth files in, there's a pause. As kind of the hubba and bubba continues, you see people looking around, some people are even sparring in the background. And you see kind of Lord Calum, Kiara kind of talking. And they're over here. It says, he'd be here by now. You know him, he's always late. It's dramatic. And Calum kind of begins. He goes, right, combatants and aspirants, we are waiting for our final representative. I will return when he decides to make his grand entrance. And you kind of see them both leave, and after 5-10 minutes go past, the tent doors fly back open. He says, some of you may have heard, we have a representative from the Flame-Blade Syndicate, sent directly from Ozcook. He will, of course, be going first. The rest of you will follow, and hopefully he sets an example. May I introduce Fazul Chembrel of the Flame-Blade Syndicate. And in walking, you see a tall, 6'5", muscle-bound, leather strap armor, wearing a huge black greatsword over his back, trousers, walking in with the, I'd say, confident swagger of somebody who knows that they're probably the strongest person in most rooms they've walked into. Make their way into the tent and kind of give a cursory look around and almost wave as if he expects people to know him. None of you have heard of him, nor has anybody else. And Quan, looking at this person, you taste blood in the back of your throat and are immediately put on edge. You don't like this person.
Looking at this man.
Yeah, you don't like him. Something instinctively about you reacts negatively to him, and you can't help but taste the iron, metallic flavor of blood in the back of your mouth. Sides this off because Lord Lumina says, "Wonderful. Well, so we're about to begin. Please make yourself at home. Prepare yourselves. We'll call you out in order, give you time to prepare. Remember, the trial will consist of a short interlude where you introduce yourself, give a little bit about what has made you worthy, what has brought you here, and then you will do your trial, and finally, the two champions of the Creditors Federation and the Bulwark will select amongst those who have passed. All understood? Any questions?"
Yeah, mate. I've got one question over here, if it's okay.
Yes, certainly. The one in the back, yes.
Yeah, quite a bit far back here. If you could speak up here to the back.
No problem. You will need to introduce yourself, tell your story, and then your trial will begin. You will then be selected or not, in which case you will be open to leave or conscript yourself into the army. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Good. Very well. Hello. Come, let us join the...
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, I have a question. Are sheep allowed to enter the trial talent?
No. Weird question, but I see you have one. No, they will not be allowed to enter. If they are part of your act, then good.
I can assure you he's not normally a sheep, but currently he is a sheep. I don't know when he will stop being a sheep. But
Well, that's certainly a predicament that I'm sure if somebody here could solve, that would be a good trial. Now, anyone else, please. Fazul kind of leans down and looks at the cat. Is the cat competing too with the sheep? Maybe they can have a play date.
Is he talking to my panther?
Yes.
Do you know, I think you might be in the wrong place. Zippo's circus tent is over there, and I hear they have openings for acrobats, fire jugglers, and clowns, which I think you might have a real shot at.
Now that's not very nice. Clowns, I mean, that's a step too far.
He kind of like looks you up and down, sizes you up a bit, scoffs slightly to himself. Seem very self-important. As if you like the way you look.
Oh, I do.
If you want to keep looking like that, address my shoes next time you talk to me. Bitch.
Okay, at that, Quan is gonna... Excuse me, sir. That is not appropriate behavior in this sort of situation. Please, an apology for my friend here.
He turns to Quan, sizing up Quan's muscles, Quan's stature, to immediately afford a level of respect. We're all here to compete. I'm sure your friend will show you something that impresses me.
I think Casimir laughs.
It's dripping with sarcasm as he looks back.
Well, my giant, pasty, ogre-looking friend, I shall toast to your future career in the circus.
And I'll toast at your funeral. What do you want from me?
Oh, believe me, I'm the last person whose funeral you would want to attend. And his eyes flicker green at that, and he just smiles back, completely unfazed.
You can attempt an intimidation roll.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no. I don't have guidance because this isn't Baldur's Gate 3. It's a 14.
14.
I want to say I would, but I can't.
Would your cat take part in
Oh,
this?
wait, no, I have a +2. It's a 16.
Would your cat take part in this?
It's growling, yeah.
Growling. Okay. Kind of like looks at you, takes a little step back as the panther comes towards him. He kind of goes up and lashes out a kick towards the panther.
He's kicking my cat.
There's a 20 hit.
No.
He's kicking my cat.
He's kicking your cat.
Yeah, 20 hits my cat.
That's a 4 plus 4. That is 8 points of damage.
Is your cat okay?
That's dead.
Okay. So the cat does not die per se. The cat evaporates.
Oh no.
It disintegrates into ash, in green swirling wisps. And where there once was the shape of a large panther is now, for a very brief second before it expands and falls to pieces, a whole load of cotton wool and stuffing. As the floor kind of like is covered in this explosion of wadding, that previously had assumed the shape of a cat. And Casimir just looks down at where the cat was, looks back up at this man, at Fazul, and his jaw kind of tightens. Okay. Alright. If that's how we're going to play this, you fucking psychopath, why would you kill my cat?
Everybody in the Senate is looking at the
that
fact
makes
that
things difficult for me. And he takes a step closer. Do you know, I almost hope we are put in the same squadron. And if we are, let me offer you some free advice, my friend. If or when you die, don't do it where I can see you. And as he says this... Oh, has my internet died?
We can
No,
hear
no.
you.
Let's see.
You are with us.
Oh no. Has my internet... Is it
No, you're here.
back?
Yes, you're here. Hello.
Oh,
It was always there.
Where
always
did I
there
get in my villain monologue?
Got to the end.
Didn't
said
lose you
everything.
for a second.
I
Yeah.
didn't lose you for a second.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay, good. So he leaves it there, and as he says this, he takes a few steps forward. And where maybe his eyes flickered green before, this kind of pale, almost kind of lurid, green aura sort of begins to swirl about him. And I don't know, maybe if people are paying close attention to this interaction, they can see it, but Zor definitely can. These shapes and swirls sort of materialize almost in the shape of a man. Kind of his face, maybe like twisted in a bit of a scream, appears kind of next to Casimir, and sort of fills the space between him and Fazul as he sort of moves up into his personal space. It's sort of like, you know, that little mouthy, gobby little getting into your personal space, except obviously like half a foot taller than this other
It's just
guy.
like there's a
Or less
smile. There's a slight smile that goes over the side. Like the rest of the tent is focused on the fact that this cat has just evaporated. There is no body left. There is just dust. And as Fazul kind of looks up, slightly confused, and suddenly is confronted with this visage, can you make another intimidation check? This one can have advantage.
Really? Yay! The first one was good. It is a non-natural 20.
Very good. Takes a step back. You see him he has to catch himself. You know, restore whatever bravado and vigor there was. And in an attempt not to show face, there's another smile that comes back, and you see that there are slightly filed fangs. And his eyes for a single second go slightly reptilian. And there are scales that appear on the outside in red.
Yike.
And he goes, I've been threatened by others. We'll see if you're more than a pretty punchable face.
Do you think I'm pretty? Good. Most people do.
And then from the outside, you'll hear, and first up we have Fazul from the Flameblade Syndicate. And you see him kind of whirl away from you, roaring his sword and walking towards the temple. Sorry, towards the center of the training dummy.
Don't trip on your way out, asshole.
So,
Can I, just before Fazul goes and does his thing, Juan is gonna look very disappointed at Casimir as Fazul leaves. He's gonna cross his arms and say, "What on? Wait, we're not on Earth. What in Pelor's name have you done to make all of these people hate you?"
He killed my cat, my animal companion that's been with me for a while. I love that thing more than life itself. And there was absolutely zero emotion as he says that. I'm so sad.
Even though there's like no emotion in Casimir's voice, Quan looks over to him and his gaze softens and he says, "Well, yes, I am very sorry for your loss. It must be quite upsetting."
It's extremely upsetting. He kind of realizes, it kind of hits him what's happened. He looks down at the stuffing on the floor and just sort of, shit. And just sighs to himself.
So, I will say the rest of you see various people leave. You hear the roar and the cheers of the crowd outside. And for the sake of peering back the veil ever so slightly, when the person goes forward, obviously the rest of you don't see it, but it is going to be vaguely public. So, called up first, just about turning back into a human at the right time. As Toad, you see kind of, as it says, pod of Thogalum. And you kind of get ushered forward to the front of the crowd, brought out to the sunlight, the roaring crowd outside, and ahead of you is a long table with several esteemed judges, none of which you know the identity of, I believe, pod. And in front of you, what did you request for this, and what would remember for all of you, you are doing your introduction, who you are, a brief, why are you here, or I suppose, what makes you powerful, and what your trial is going to be. Esky, pod.
So he kind of, first thing he does is like start picking bits of grass out of his mouth and like something like that. It tasted so much better when I was a sheep. It tastes horrible now. And after kind of spitting it out a little bit, he stands back. He stands kind of straight and he goes, "Hello everyone. I'm Pod. I am from Thugalin. I'm here because I'm with Toad over there," and he turns and he points to his friend and kind of waves at him. And then turns back, yeah. We're here for the, and he kind of as if like he wasn't quite paying attention in class. We're here for the mission, and to do a special trick for you, fantastic people today. So my special trick is stealth. He says, kind of like crouching a little bit, as if like it's a surprising thing. I can also do other tricks. I'm quite good at like pep talks and things like that, and I tell really good stories, but mostly for this mission I think that stealth would be probably the most useful kind of like standout skill. So yeah, and it kind of waffles for a little bit longer until the judges start to look a little bit kind of irritated, and then eventually goes, well, here we go, and he just clicks his fingers, and then as a kind of like ritual spell, I think it's a ritual spell or just a feat, I cast Hidden Step, which as a bonus action you can magically turn invisible 2 times per long rest. This lasts until the start of your next turn. So as he clicks his fingers, he just vanishes.
There's a lot of people like, where'd you go, what happened? And the judges suddenly snap back to attention and are paying attention. And do you move, or do you just stand in the same spot?
No, he moves. He moves a bit, just to the bit to the left, and then after like, I don't know, like a minute or something, or less than that, like 30 seconds, let's just say, he appears again. He's like, ta-da! As I said, I'm also available for pep talks. I'm also available for I could do some healing. I'm quite good with nature.
No, that's quite enough. Thank you. I'm sure we've heard enough. Certainly. Thank you. If you could bring your friend out, Toad. Yes, Toad, please. Thank you.
He bows and kind of moves off the stage.
Absolutely, thank you. And yeah, I think you can go back and you can summon Toad.
I can't summon Toad.
Oh, so you can like, do you not tell Toad that he needs to come out?
No. He goes down. He goes, right, buddy. Come on.
All right, thanks.
Tough crowd.
You did great. You did great.
Oh, thank you.
Toad of doesn't know, and I'm not sure what you're going to be doing. Please, Toad, everybody, Toad.
Hello. Okay, so Toad walks out into the middle of the arena and kind of stands there a little bit awkwardly, feeling a bit. He doesn't look very imposing or threatening in any way, shape, or form, other than the fact he's like 6'2". Just a man. And
Sexy man.
just a
Small man.
Just an innocent man.
We're just innocent men.
We're just normal men.
So he kind of stands there and he says, "Hello, my name's Toad, and this here is my friend Charlie. Say hello, Charlie." And he kind of like looks at his snail on his shoulder, and Charlie does not say anything, but he sits there. Here's my little snail. And
Oh.
I got this crochet snail. He's so cute.
Oh.
So
Lord Catus says, yes, it's very sweet. Yes, thank you. I saw your
Optimus
performance
whoever's
earlier. I hope your trial goes better.
standing next to him, and he goes, Charlie's really funny, by the way. Tells great jokes.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, so Charlie is a giant snail, as you can see, but he's not giant at all. He's a tiny thing. That's like literally probably only like 1 or 2 inches tall. Well, while we didn't win the snail race earlier, I can assure you that I do have other talents that may help in finding your bandit that you want us to find. So
Right, that's very good. But are you going to demonstrate some skill somehow, or?
Yes. One moment, and so he's going to kneel down to the ground, and for a second it kind of looks like he's maybe just tying his shoe, or nothing's really happening at first. But then if you look a little bit more closely, he's kind of put his hands like onto the ground and kind of dug his fingers a little bit into the dirt. And time passes, and nothing's really happening. And maybe there's like some murmurs from the crowd as people are like, what's going on here? And then the ground starts to tremble and shake. And then suddenly, all across the arena, in a 150-foot kind of area, all of these little sprouts start coming out the ground everywhere, and they grow rapidly up into the sky and turn into a massive mushroom forest. So they're like giant trees, but made out of mushrooms. And this becomes so tall that it actually completely blocks out the view of Toad in the middle of this entire arena. And then with kind of like a grumbling from the ground, it stops.
Hello. This is very impressive, but can you get rid of it, please?
Oh yes, I can do that too. And you hear kind of muffled through the mushroom foliage, and then suddenly everything starts to wilt and kind of shrivel up on itself, and it's kind of like a time-lapse video of something kind of growing and disappearing very quickly, and suddenly all of the mushrooms just kind of collapse in on themselves into a necrotic heap on the ground, and the smell is not super pleasant. It is mold after all, but
kind of moves a little bit back, like, oh, what's...
but Toad seems unfazed by it, and he kind of does a little strange bow. It's not a bow of someone who's practiced of bowing to other people, maybe. And he kind of nods his head, and he's like, and there you go.
Thank you. I do hope we think this woman deserves less foliage, but impressive nonetheless. Thank you. Toad of don't know. And there's a roar of the claps and from the crowd and appreciative noises, and a couple of people still holding their nose and trying to clap, which is an odd sight.
Thank you.
Can we see all of this happening?
I will say for the purpose of this, you're all kind of peering out from the veil. I'm not going to describe every contestant, but yes, you see all of this. for each person.
Not bad.
And
Yes,
I
we got-
return to the tent.
A couple more people go, and there's now a call that goes, Ivor Montague of Sacramar.
I will step out. And with probably, I think, reasonable showmanship, actually. He kind of flourishes his half cape a little bit. Ladies, gentlemen, non-binary individuals, my name is Ivor Montague, and I, evidently, am a ranger. Behold! And he will wave his hand, and those kind of same green, quite spooky tendrils you saw earlier materialize into the shape of a man next to him. My fey companion. But I'm sure you've all seen a summon before. He's gonna mutter under his breath, though, to this individual that comes out. Change of plan, Mateus. Specimen 17 has been murdered by a brain-dead, vainglorious oaf, so look happy, do not speak unless it helps further our cause. Pretend to be a fae, for fuck's sake.
You see this creature's kind of jaw clench, and it kind of smiles and waves in the most fake way you've ever seen. And this person, to all intents and purposes, looks like a smoky, slightly ethereal version of like a guard. Wearing
Like plate armor. Yeah.
with a sword, like, yes, Faye.
And kind of like practiced on command, they like whip their hands to the side and shoot out little firebolts. But you see, ladies and gentlemen, what I plan to show you isn't just that I can fight and summon. What I think you'll find most unique about me is an absolutely unmatched intellect, strategy, recollection, decision-making. I will ensure that whatever squadron you sit under me will be perfectly poised to win before we ever even have to draw blood. And if we do, well, I'll make sure we win that too. Before we started, I asked for a book. An advanced piece of text was my request. I've returned it to you. If you wouldn't mind flicking to a page. Any page.
If you see
Pick
one
a
of the
paragraph.
judges goes through. Page 355, paragraph 7.
Geophysics epitomizes an interdisciplinary vanguard fusing intricate principles from physics, mathematics, and earth sciences, to say nothing of the arcane to unravel. And he like just goes on for like a solid minute and a half. I've actually read that one a few times, but it was fun. I liked seeing it again.
Absolutely. As the judge nods, Mercy, could you roll an attack roll for me?
What?
Oh baby! Oh baby!
Stop.
Okay,
Leave me
here we
alone.
go. Now is my time. Come on, oil barrel. Mother of Jesus. Okay, it's a 6. If I'm
Okay.
plussing anything, it's +6.
You attempt to throw a small dagger infused with a tiny fire shot that is going to set the oil barrel you posed as a contingency plan earlier alight, and you put it throws through the air, lands directly under Casimir's feet as he steps on it, completely unaware, putting it out with the slight moisture created by the mold earlier from Toad. Your plan ruined. Everything was correct. Your throw was perfect. You saw it. You saw the eruption of fire. You saw the end of this aberrant. You saw returning in success. That was your fate, and it was just denied. As Casimir continues to recite this book.
He sort of finishes and says, so, you see, intelligence gathering, show me a piece of information once and I will remember it forever. There is nobody better placed to help you learn about Razor Jaylin's location, infiltrate her camp, and then... And he looks to Mateus, his named Fey Summon, who branches a sword, kill her. Thank you.
Yes, very good, very good. And you see some applause, and the judges kind of say, thank you.
Yeah,
Ivor Montague.
he throws in a wink or two at the crowd to, go on a attachment.
Very good. Thank you. Next up, Arvis, please step forward.
And Arvis makes his way out there, scratching back, wearing his hat, steps out. And DM, do I get to describe all the things that are there for me, or
Yeah,
what's the-
absolutely. You would have requested this in advance, so
Right. Cool. So out there's a fair few things actually out in the field. There is a pile of wood and a saw. There is a a really tall, really long sort of tree log, upright, staked into the ground with just nothing, no leaves, no branches, nothing. There is a wagon with a donkey as well, just sat there. There's of course 30 gold pieces in a pile also, and there's also a gallows as well, like a sort of, what would you call them, like a those things that like you get your wrists and your neck sort of locked into it.
Stocks.
One of the
stocks.
stocks,
Yeah,
that's it,
okay.
yeah. Exactly. And they're just these things like lined out in a kind of semi. And Arvis rocks up and he goes, in fact, what I'll do is stop the music. This is kind of a little bit awkward if I'm honest with you. And he's like, hello there. Blokes, blokettes, mates. Yeah. My name's, you can call me Archibald. Archibald, to correct the record. And
Archibald, apologies.
yeah, it's right. And I'm a carpenter, joiner, and fixer. And my magic trick is get things done. You know, do it without magic. I'm just a humble bloke, a normal man, an innocent man. But you know, we simple folk get things done. And the way I see it, if you send me out there on this mission, you send a little bit of all of us to bring back the day and bring the people victory. Right. And first thing Arvis does is he walks over to the wagon, walks over to the donkey, jumps in it, whips just whips the backside of the donkey. And yeah, he's all wagoned up and he's ready to go.
Okay, what are you trying to do?
I'm trying to ride that wagon like I stole it, like the most badass kind of
Make the most appropriate check. Performance, animal handling, sleight of hand, whatever you think is going to most aid you.
Cool. Sick. In fact, let me just put them beats on repeats before I go ahead. Yeah. Nice. All right, cool. And as Arvis gets up there on the wagon, as it starts taking off, he reads his credentials. He goes, "My expertise is fieldcraft, pathfinding, mountaineering, and climbing. Quartermaster and armorer, rivering, piloting, wagoneering, locksmithing, certifies appraiser of jewels, private investigation, currying, scout knot tying and calf roping, swimming, asset recovery, literacy and accounting, and carpentering and labouring as it really takes." And so I think to drive a wagon is a straight dexterity check, if I remember correctly.
You sure?
I think it is.
This is a
All right,
job
cool.
interview for you.
Oh my god.
And
Man of many talents.
let's fucking roll that thing, see what comes out the other end. It's a 14. Can
Not
I
bad.
ride a wagon like I stole it?
You can ride the wagon like you stole it, zooming around, car-tailing, almost coming up on one wheel.
Yes, two wheels, yes.
Carouseling around.
Exactly, huge. Okay, and then he pulls the reins and this donkey, whatever, screeches to a halt, exhausted, and vaults himself off as it comes to a stop. And does a little bow. Is there much from the audience?
Yeah, the audience is like impressed. Like you've kind of dodged obstacles, you jumped around. The donkey, by the way, just collapses. You have ridden that, you have done that thing until it that needs like many sleeps. And there's like appreciative yells from the audience, and you see a woman turn to the person standing next to her and said, "If you could ride that, we'd never be late to market." You kind of jump back into the tent, satisfied.
Well, there's more to go. It's up to you.
Sorry, my bad. Keep going.
Now for some fieldcraft, minus the pathfinding, and he gets that saw he had earlier, and he just goes to town, just sawing up the wagon. And he's going to attempt to make like a nice little, like almost hobbit cottage shed little thing, like a nice piece that someone would want to have in their garden. You know what I mean?
Go for
As we
it.
try and
Whatever
knock that
role you think is
together.
appropriate.
Okay, so let's go carpenter's tool. Right on. So let's roll that with a proficiency. See what happens. Why won't it let me roll? All right, let's just do it in the big old dice up. +2. Godspeed. It's a 7. Woo!
This is
Yeah.
slightly less impressive. It's too much of a rush. The kind of mold and the moisture produced by Todd's performance earlier, the flame barrel that you kind of accidentally stumble on, you immediately recognize what a barrel filled with gunpowder is, and you're like, oh, shit. And it distracts you for a second. And this isn't your finest work. You kind of hold it up, and there's some moderate applause, and people are like, well, he did that quick enough, but the craftsmanship's not quite there.
But wait, there's more. And he goes back to like the big old tree up there, and he grabs himself a chain, and he goes, let's see how quickly we can scale this baby. And he's gonna wrap the chain around, and then proceed to like very quickly climb up the full scale of what is probably a very tall tree trunk.
Okay. I think probably another dex check, or maybe acrobatics.
I think so, acrobatics, but with fast hands at a climbing speed, do I get advantage?
Yeah.
Hey, let's roll it. Let's see what comes out. It's a 19, baby. How quickly does he get up that thing?
Pretty damn quick. Like, you scale that thing, almost jumping there. It's as if you don't really pause. You know those speed climbers in the Olympics? Like, it's as if you're like, there's no thing. It is very impressive, and the crowd are a bit more like wooed by this. There's a lot more applause. So you do get the sense that that is 3 attempts. There's a gentle pause, and Lord Cadence is like, and that's your final skill, is it?
And then what he does is he grabs the chain, slides down, and goes, one more for the crowd. And does everybody cheer? Like, how does it go?
Absolutely, yes. The crowd here is at this point fairly drunk. They've seen a lot, but this is the most different and interesting. They will certainly remember. What did you call yourself? Angelo.
Archibald Wainwright, mate. Archibald Wainwright.
Archibald Wainwright. They will certainly remember Archibald Wainwright and the debuff. And we now go to, there's only 2 of you left in the tent. Everyone else is gone, and kind of a guy comes in and goes, oh, well, we weren't expecting anybody else, but you seem impressive. You come forward and points at Astrophos. You're next.
Oh, are you sure? No, I believe this gentleman was actually next. I'm still preparing. He seems a little flustered.
Very well. You, what's your name?
Quan.
Go on, please, come forward. And you see him kind of lashes you forward and seems to disappear behind, and you see him walk over to Arcadia and goes, there are only 2 aspirants left. First of all, a surprise entry, but there's always people who want to try their hand. Quan.
And he steps forward, and he's got a, warm smile on his face, and he says, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Quan, paladin, and yes, He smiles and says, is it quite necessary?
No, just curious. Well, welcome, Quan. Where do you hail from?
I would like to proceed with the trial, if possible.
Very well. Well, you've provided no instructions. Surprise, we simply have arranged the trial, the target dummy in front of us. Show us your metal. What are you worth?
Well, I wouldn't say that my fighting ability is necessarily my strength. In fact, my defensive and protective maneuvers are something that I am quite proud of. And as he says that, he...
Would you like someone to fight you? We could find somebody.
No, that's quite all right. I mean, I can show you. And he pulls out his shield from off his back. And as he grasps the handle, the rusted metal kind of screws. There's a slight pop, and the handle breaks off the shield, and the shield just thunks to the ground as he's trying to show off his abilities. And he kind of looks down at the shield, looks up at the handle that's still on his arm, and says, well,
May I suggest your offensive capabilities take priority here?
I would actually say that my good deeds and my my charity work are perhaps something more impressive than that. If you'd care to listen to some of the things I've.
Well, they need to be verified. Who have you performed charity for work and where?
I will hit the dummy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he unsheathes his sword, and with pretty surprising speed, he kind of looks at the dummy and kind of runs forward at it and strikes it.
Well, could you roll your attacks for me? And let me
Hit him,
know
Leonard.
roll age of each and the damage of each.
Yes.
I love this man. It will go well for him. Manifest.
Okay.
Go back, it's a target of the minute thing. You will hit with all of them. So roll damage for each of them.
Okay. That's a 9, a 10, a 9, and a 9.
Okay. In a single round, 4 attacks rain down on this dummy as the dummy falls over as you eviscerate what is left of it. In a surprising show of speed with such a big weapon, maybe feel from your shield you are, and there's a shudder from the crowd. However, with your final blow, a splinter flies off and hits, and you see there's like someone bends down and goes, "Are you okay?" And one splinter of this dummy has hit someone in the shoulder. You see they are injured.
And he runs over to them and I'm so sorry, that really wasn't intended. Here, let me help you. And he touches the person on the shoulder, and with a faint glow of kind of bright yellowish golden light, he heals that person for a few points of healing.
And they kind of, whoa, and there's a big cheer as kind of the person stands up and kind of like gives you a hug and goes, "Quan!" You hear Quan, 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 as the crowd continue to chant your name.
Somewhere in the stadium, Casimir Martyr's fucking paladins.
And as you return back, there is but one person left. Mercy, or in this form, Athropos. Please, you are the last remaining. If you wish to submit your trial, now is the time, or you may forego.
Before I do, just tell me the rather full of himself young man with the panther. Did he make it through? Did he perform well?
Well, he certainly demonstrated some magical ability, which is better than half of the people doing archery.
Very well. Yes, I will proceed with my trial.
Very well. Athropos of where are you from?
Well, a few places, but currently of Fort Valor.
A homegrown hero, Athropos of Fort Valor. The crowd kind of yell up loudly. What will your trial be?
Esteemed judges, you must forgive me, for I am a late entrant, so I have not planned quite the dazzling display that you have no doubt seen already. But if you will indulge me, I see that you have a number of guards, and they each have some ranged weapons, some archers, crossbows, and the like. If I could ask that they stand around me in a circle, and all aim at me at once.
Very well, at your wish be it. And you see the kind of summon forward 4 hours wearing the regalia of House Luminaire, but vaguely the bulwark. Maybe stand around you, 5 of them in a vague circle around you. Begin swords or crossbows?
The crossbows, if you wouldn't mind.
And they kind of adjust themselves so they're each firing in between the gaps that would be. Very well.
Arthas is in the crowd there, nudges another commoner and goes, "Aye, this should be good."
Very well. On your command, then, my good sir.
As you can see, I wear no armor, I have no shield, and to most men, this would be a death sentence. I hope you would all agree. On your command, then, whoever wishes to make the call, I will show you my skills.
Well, potentially a grisly end, but on my mark, 3, 2, 1, loose.
Okay.
And all 5 of them attack you, I guess.
I mean, I don't know how exactly, whether they're like all kind of along the same kind of height, or what kind of thing, but either Mercy would like duck down or flip in the air or like spin or do some sort of like backflip dodge to avoid these bolts. And having quickly been able to read this future, I will say that their portent for whatever they roll, whatever the check is a natural 20.
Wow, you got a portent before I roll. Okay, absolutely. So I was going to ask for an acrobatics check to perform this. So each of them, various heights, and you deduce incredibly quickly. The only way you're going to do this is to leap into the air. So you leap a full 6 feet into the air upwards and do a somersault and land as each of the arrows fly past you as you duck down. And the crowd kind of let out a roar and begin clapping. And Lord Caden stands up and says, "An impressive display for our finale. Atropos of Fort Valor. Thank you very much. If there's nothing else, could you take your walk, please, with the other contestants?"
Well, if you would, there is of course the melee. I would hate to think that you would only assess me as being capable for an arrow from distance. Your guards have swords. I would invite them to give me their best shot.
Very well. You have certainly earned it. Men, take a step forward. On my mark, swing. 3, 2, 1. Go. And what are you replacing it with this time?
Okay, so I'm gonna use a key point to take the dodge action, and whether it's a
They all roll
whether
at
they're-
disadvantage, right?
So they're rolling with disadvantage, and if you want me to make a roll, I have a 17 on my portent as well.
Okay, I will set the 17 as your DC. In this case. So 5 rolls. 5 and an 18. 7 and a 9. 3 and a 1. 15 and a 2. Final one to try to hit you. With disadvantage. A natural 20 and a 7. So all of them miss as you manage to dodge effortlessly, almost dancing between the blades, and somehow stand after this is finished with each of the blades embedded in the ground and you standing on top of them.
And he then takes a kind of curt bow from the waist and says, My lords, I hope that this will show you that I would be a valuable member to any company, and I have some skill in tracking and woodsmanship and other important skills. Thank you for your time.
Very good. Very well. All of you, take your sides. We will discuss amongst ourselves. Crowd, amuse yourself. Take a chance of any refreshments. Avoid the mystery soup. And everybody else, aspirants, we will await our decision. Thank you for your patience. And you are all kind of committed to a, not a holding pen, but you're all kind of segmented off to the other side of the field, all amongst yourselves, to kind of chat as the judges make their decision.
Jamie, what did the guy who killed my cat do? How impressive was he?
The guy who steals your cat, flaming sword, cut through 5 dummies as if they were nothing.
Huh. Good.
Damn. Nice.
What a fucking show off.
Honestly, it's a bit tacky if you ask me. So.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, Casimir definitely rolled his eyes and didn't whistle under his breath at all.
He's amongst you. He's kind of standing there. You know, doesn't anyone comes up to talk to him, he just looks at them like they've stepped in shit. Like, why are they talking to him? Casimir has a similar expression, actually.
Yeah, I think if their eyes meet at all, they just have a "you've stepped in shit" stare off for a little while.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do any of the people in the crowd, or do they approach any of the contestants?
No, so you're kind of separated. So the crowd is on one side and you see them chatting. Some of them are dispersing. The interesting bit's done. They don't really care who gets selected. The rest of them are kind of sitting around. You're on the other side of the field with the other contestants, like in a vague lineup, but kind of just waiting the judge's decision.
Like post cosplay competition, everyone's just lined up, waiting to go
Yeah,
back
yeah.
on stage.
This really feels like a cosplay
Oh, sorry.
competition. Everyone's
Did-
got stage
Oh,
props.
did
so,
it-
like-
did
Stop,
anybody-
I have
did any-
trauma.
Did anybody here win a cosplay competition of some note recently? I don't remember.
Is anyone here like a world
Maybe.
champion? Like
No,
came
no, I don't
first
think so.
place and won. The
All right, guys, it was
sewing
almost a
award
month ago.
as
Get
well?
over it.
That's old news, man.
I'm so proud of you guys.
Oh, stop.
Joe's not proud of you, the judges. I mean, why?
In D&D, right? In D&D,
Yep.
right?
Sorry, I'll let you try and spell yourselves for a little bit. If there's anything of anybody's performance you wanted to ask about, or if you're all just going to kind of vaguely stand aside.
Clued, can you remind me what your animal companion is right now?
So he's presently a wispy, paladin-looking, plate-armored man,
Okay.
who is waving amicably to everyone. He's if you were watching Casimir / Ivor Montague's stage presentation, it's a Fey companion,
Fey companion. Okay.
allegedly.
Cool, no problem. Toad's
And it's
going
probably
to...
standing very dourly behind him.
Ah. Okay. And Pod, Toad's going to approach, and he's going to say, "Oh, I'm so glad that you managed to turn back into well, you before your performance, because they said that sheep couldn't participate."
I could have maybe turned invisible as a sheep. I think that would have been just as impressive.
I actually think that would have been quite memorable, an invisible disappearing sheep.
And then maybe I could have turned back into, well, me after going invisible, and it would have been even more confusing.
That would have been great if they.
But don't eat that food again. That was it was okay tasting, but the sheep experience was not as. I wouldn't recommend it.
I think it's quite fun being a sheep. I think I'm going to try that soon.
It was great for like 1 minute, and then all of a sudden you realize you can't talk and you can't say anything to anyone, and it just loses a bit of its charm after about a few minutes.
Yeah, that's for sure. Oh, and he sees Arvis kind of nearby. Your performance was quite wonderful.
Ah, cheers, mate. Nothing special. You noticed that bloke's accent, and he's pointing to Pod. You notice the way that bloke speaks?
Yes.
It's kind of a strange accent, don't you think, mate?
It's pretty
think
normal
so.
from where I come from, actually.
Ah, it's just the way you say things is kind of strange, mate. Like, fish, you say fish. You don't say fish, you say fish. Fish and chips. Strange, mate. Got something strange going on with you.
Toad has like a weird look of relief on his face that he's not the one being scrutinized for his accent for once. And he's like, "Oh, well, I never noticed."
I used to have a stronger accent, but then I haven't been home for quite a while.
I see.
Mm.
Unbelievable. But yeah, mate, I'm a tradesman. Tradesman by trade. Don't do any trading, of course, but a tradesman nonetheless.
That's fantastic. I hope you get selected.
I've never heard of a tradesman that doesn't trade. That's unique.
Mate. A tradesman has a trade. You could be a trader, and therefore you trade, but as a tradesman, you have a trade, and you do your fucking trade.
Kind of nodding along in recognition, like, that's a good point.
So what does this do for a living, mate?
I just follow him around. At the moment, at least.
Ah, so you're an apprentice.
Not more of an apprentice, more of just like a, traveller. I
Aye?
just go places. I don't. You see, I haven't quite nailed the concept of a job yet. I haven't really. I couldn't stay anywhere long enough to really, you know. When I was back in my village, I used to be the gravekeeper, but yeah, I'm not there anymore, and I don't know. I don't really want to be a gravekeeper anywhere else, I guess.
I'm gonna be straight with you, mate. Well, I think that was mosquito. I'm gonna be straight with
Got
Nat
him.
20, ladies and gentlemen.
Damn.
you.
Miss Osman.
In fact, now as comes to think of it, all yous are kind of strange, eh?
Do you
Just
think
kinda
so?
eyes the rat up and down.
The rat in a hat.
What makes you say that?
Well, yous ain't really straight talking for a start, you. And this bloke here, maybe it's the accent, I'm being too hard on you. Maybe it's the fact that you live your life servicing dead people.
He goes, I'm actually in disguise, but don't tell anybody.
Actually, what? I missed that.
I'm actually in disguise, but don't tell anybody.
Mate, you fucking keep that shit to yourself. And he looks like offendedly and sort of for deal with whatever shit you
A master is offended by an apprentice's handiwork.
He just kind of turns to Tony. Funny fella.
Yeah, I've never met a talking yeah.
Right?
I don't know actually what you are.
Well, he looks like a rat, but he's a lot bigger than most rats I've ever seen before.
A rat.
And a lot more intelligent.
He's
as well.
laughing nervously, clearly. Nah, mate. Yeah. No, got to Bixie. Lineage in me, 12 generations back. You know, it's something natural. You know. Yeah.
Ah, he's a tabaxi.
Ah, it's right, mate. My great grandfather's Bixie. Yeah.
So then Pod begins kind of explaining everything he knows about tabaxi in excruciating detail.
I see. Tabaxi,
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Yeah, somewhere in the family, you know. Family.
Yes.
Toad.
Oh.
You're only momentarily distracted as the tall, muscular form of Quan walks past. And that feeling that you most associate with why you left your village walks with him.
Oh. One moment, please. And he kind of ducks away from Arvis and Pod, and quickly runs over to Quan without much of a delay. Hello. My name's Toad. Nice to meet you.
And he kind of like looks down a little, surprised at just being spoken at, kind of as he's determinedly trying to get to Mercy, but he kind of for a moment pauses and remembers himself and says, "Great to meet you. Sorry, what was your name?"
Toad.
Ah, I'm Quan. It's a pleasure.
I saw your performance. It was fantastic.
As was yours.
Oh, thank you. I don't know if the judges liked it very much, but we'll see.
They looked very impressed. I really wouldn't worry too much.
Where are you from?
I'm from pretty far from here. I don't think you would have heard of it. How about you?
Oh, I'm also from quite far away as well. I actually, to tell you the truth, I actually don't know the name of where I'm from.
Oh.
We just called it home, so when I had to fill in the application form, I didn't really know what to write.
Oh, well, that's perfectly understandable. I mean, I don't think really the name of it matters as much as the fact that it's home, right?
Yeah, well, I think names are, not that important in general. Sorry, what was your name again?
Juan.
Okay. I will remember that. Sorry, but were you in a rush to go somewhere? I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I was just going to check on my friend. I mean, you're welcome to join me. I just want to make sure he's all right.
Oh, was that the one with the panther that earlier that kind of, well, poofed?
Oh, no, I was on my way to see Mercy, actually. That man over there, and he points to Atropos.
Oh, okay. Sure, I'll come with you. Pod and
Aye.
Armin, come here. Yes.
So the entire time that you'd been gone, Pod had been explaining to others. He'd kind of gone back, being like, "When you mentioned about the dead," and he just had basically gone off on almost like a preachy sermon about how actually death isn't that bad since Kellanvor took over, and you should really look into Kellanvor's teachings. They're really, really interesting and completely different from the gods that preceded him. And then obviously we get cut off at that point when he's been lecturing through it for a little while.
Meanwhile, Arvis is probably in a hat down still, just sort of smoking a pipe, looking into the distance, really not reacting much. Just... right. Kind of most of the way through. And then as soon as he gets called, he's kind of like, yeah.
Cool. So, Quan is gonna walk over towards Mercy, and on the way, he's gonna pass Casimir and Casimir's Fey companion. He kind of bumps into the companion. What happens when, like, does he walk through it? Like, does he feel something physical when he bumps into it? Like, what has happened?
DM, he can make physical attacks, but is he a physical presence?
Yeah, he is, right? He
Yeah.
physically exists, yes.
Okay.
Underneath smoke, it's a very real form. And quite a... You hit it? And what part of your body do you hit it with?
So he just kind of very lightly bumps into as he's trying to walk past. Yeah, he just sort of bumps into its shoulder, I guess, as he's walking
With your
past.
shoulder?
Yes.
Yeah, just kind of hear a thud, like a slightly... Yeah, it's just if you hit, like, meat that's just hanging there.
Oh, apologies. Sorry, and he starts apologizing and looks up to the fey creature companion and realizes it's not necessarily a person. It's like a figure, right? Rather than...
It responds.
Watch where you're going.
Okay. My fault entirely. He
Casimir
kind of like...
turns to it and says, "I thought we paladins were supposed to like each other. Isn't that your thing? Cooperation, divine orders? That sort of thing?"
I am a creature of the Fae. I don't know what you're talking about, paladins.
Oh, very good.
Okay. Well, my apologies. And he walks straight over to Mercy after that awkward interaction. And he sort
It's
of
like a domestic happening between the two of them and between the eyes.
And Quan immediately walks over to Mercy, kind of lifts up his arm, puts his hand on Mercy's shoulder, and says, "Now, how are you feeling? You seem a little better. Are you feeling a bit more clear-headed? Can I get you any water? Good job on the trial, by the way."
So probably because he walked over because Mercy was deep in contemplation, and again, if Quan is a little more perceptive, would see the kind of opalescent pupilless eyes slide from their kind of blank state back into regular human pupils with irises and everything, and look up as he claps his hand on his shoulder and says, "Oh, that's kind of you, thank you. Who are these people? Are they similarly afflicted like you?"
He pauses for a moment and squints. No, that's very rude of me. Here, Toad, this is Mercy. Mercy Toad.
Oh, hello. He's kind of like actually hung back. He's kind of standing next to Casimir and Casimir's Fey companion. Because he's like, kind of as he was walking past, he kind of like got stopped and he's like, oh, I was meant to follow them, but I kind of want to talk to them now. And he's like, kind of awkwardly standing halfway between both now. Not really sure where to go.
Casimir's just looking at you with an expectant eyebrow raised, just looking very bored.
I like, your, companion. He, smells nice.
He turns to the companion. Why do people want to talk to you and not me? I don't understand. This never happens.
And, as Toad says this, some of the mushrooms on his shoulder kind of shake a little bit, and a little bit of spore dust just kind of like trickles out from the mushrooms, and kind of gently across the wind kind of lands onto the shoulder of your Fey companion, and almost immediately, once again like a time lapse, some very small mushrooms just sprout out of your companion's shoulder. Oh, I'm so
Doesn't
sorry.
seem to notice. She looks at Casimir, almost like smiling to having annoyed Casimir, and just doesn't notice the mushroom sprouting.
Oh, that's embarrassing. I'm so sorry. Goodbye. And Toad's going to embarrassingly run.
Matthias, you've got a little bit of shit on your shoulder. No, the other one.
He doesn't look, and he's like, I'm not falling for that one again.
That would be my guess.
And
He leans back and folds his arms.
Toad will catch up with Quan and Mercy. Hello. And he'll stick his hand out to shake Mercy's hand, or Atropos's hand.
Atropos, yeah, takes the hand, and I don't know. You'll have to tell me, like, would I get a vibe? Would I get a fate vibe from Toad?
Can we just describe the fate things as just a vibe from now on?
Mercy's vibe checks.
Yeah. Could I get a vibe check on whatever?
Yeah. Whatever you're trying to roll, you guys can sort it out amongst yourselves.
All right, fine.
Is the vibe check for me or for Jamie to do?
No, well, do you have something on you that would
Are you trying to do a fate weaving? Yeah, you can do a fate weaving.
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
absolutely roll. Go for it.
Yeah.
As Toad introduces themselves.
I got a natural 20.
Yo.
No lie.
Roll a D100.
The vibes are strong.
I got a 3.
Wow.
I forget if that's good or bad. Let me
The
reroll the
Lord
table we
is-
discussed earlier.
And the Lord
An easy
is-
The
reading.
balance is restored.
You, despite your intense insight to this person, your understanding of the weep is limited, but it's not the same feeling you had earlier. This person is in the weave. They are connected. The extent of their story and what lies before them is unclear to you, but this is not an aberrant. Their story tied to Lucai's story as everybody else's is, as it should be.
So as they're holding his hands, pauses for a second, and kind of sniffs, and
We're all
you
just staring at
catch.
each other.
Yeah, you catch.
The rest of the group, by the way, everyone, the other 50 people here, weirded out by you lot sniffing each other, just to clarify.
Yeah, Casimir is not standing with the weird kids. He is not having anything to do with that shit.
Our group is so weird.
And you see like the hint of sharp teeth as the lips are raised, and Atropos just says, "You have something about you, the hint of something Fae touched."
Oh, well, yes, that would make sense. I have spent quite a lot of time in Tarathiel, so,
No, No, that's not it. You've been in close contact with a powerful magic, haven't you?
Yeah. You could say that.
The ripples linger on your destiny.
That's a great quote.
That's well, that's a new pickup line for sure.
Okay, sir, are you sure you don't need water? And he turns to Mercy. Anything I can get you? You don't seem.
Mr. Kwan, I appreciate your offers for assistance, but I assure you, I am of sound. I appreciate the things that I have told you today are difficult to accept,
If you
but
need
I never lie.
If you need some water, I can sort you out. And with kind of like a flick of his hand, a little rain cloud appears next to them. As he
Where is
casts-
it raining? Like,
Just-
what?
Just kind of like a little small rain cloud, kind of like half of it's hitting like Toad and his shoulder where his like little mushrooms are. The other half is kind of like right in front of Mercy.
Mr. Kwan, you need to be as far away from the man who is calling himself Ivor Montague as possible. He is hurting you in ways you cannot yet understand. If I were you, I would leave and never look back.
Sound relationship advice, actually. I would
Honestly,
really do not date.
This is our relationships.
And then he like steps out of the cloud and it's
I
like,
have a dungeon. There might be dragons.
Dungeons and dating.
I appreciate your concern, Mercy. I still think there's been some misunderstanding. I've never met him before in my life, and I haven't noticed any harm done to me. So, really, I think it's better if we leave this behind us.
very well.
Luke,
Your
can you
path
stop
will
typing an
be on.
essay to someone, please?
My apologies.
So, with this
Take a
conversation
note.
and the rest of you broken down, includes the official note taker. No kidding. With all of you joined, chatting away, the judges have come to their decision. Lord Caleb and Ilaria stand up as representatives of the two factions that will be leading this pledge. Lord Caleb announces, trial of skill is not merely a test of one's physical might, cunning, will, or woodworking, as unexpected, but a testament to the heart, resilience, and the unity that we all hold dear. Each challenger here has their own story, their own journey, and their own dreams. Yet today, they come forth with a shared purpose to display their skill, earn their honor, and etch their names into the annals of history. That these trials we have observed serve as a reminder to the individual brilliance that shines bright through unity and collaboration, and that the remainder of mutual respect forge a path to a brighter tomorrow. Now, the two champions that have been selected by the Bulwark and the Federation. First of all, we'll be selecting my own daughter, Ilara Lumina. Many of you know she has recently returned from an expedition to the Twilight Enclaves and the City of the Dead. She will lead one of the teams. Second one, of the Creditors Foundation, and Ilaria steps forward. Yes, we believe we have selected someone who represents what we want for the Stormland. A former thief who was captured trying to steal from the very vaults my guild hold most dear, who has joined us and has now served for many years as head of security. We choose Malik Shadowstride, and a genuine tabaxi with dark-spotted fur, walks forward, kind of moving with a very silent grace, kind of eyes shifting from side to side, very much aware of his surroundings. On the other side, a younger woman, early 20s, cascading blonde hair. You see her eyes gleam as mischievous, holding a book, stand forward, dressed in very practical attire, explorer's pouch, very much. These two will be the captains of each team and have taken on board the feedback of myself, Ilaria here, other members of the council, and the crowd's reactions, and will now be making the selections for their teams. They have flipped a coin, and Malik has chosen to go first on the selections. Aspirants, challengers, members of Lukai, if you could please line up and be ready for the selection. As you all get into position, Malik goes first. And Malik goes, unsurprisingly, I shall be choosing Fazul Chembrel for his amazing swordplay as the first pick of my team. And the crowd begin to clap. Fazul walks forward, giving a particular smirk to Casimir as he walks through.
Casimir rolls his eyes at him. But says,
Goes, well, I believe that I will be serving with both spirit of strength and compassion, so I would like to select, surprise entry, Quan, as the first member of my team.
I ain't never been picked on a sports team first.
Wow.
Boy.
Picked
We
first.
got everything this thing. We got a job interview. We've now got to role play what it feels like to not be picked in your sports team at school.
oh, guys, who's getting picked last? I don't know if I can take this. Not
no,
again.
Yeah, so
Not again.
Oh,
so,
no.
for the sake of the
That's cool.
story, there may be an order to this. So some people may or may not end up on the same team. However, the order you are picked in, prepare to be embarrassed.
It would be problematic if we were on different teams.
It would
wouldn't
be
it,
very
guys?
problematic. Malik goes forward and says, for my second pick, I was most impressed with the prophetic abilities and his understanding of magic. Nalus Talwyn, and stands forward, Nalus, an indigo-hued tiefling, kind of wearing scholarly robes, gold-tinted eyes, kind of corns curving backwards, seamlessly merging with his hairline, sporting kind of a shave style on the sides. His rings adorned with various shrink, kind of stands forward, bearing, to you, Mercy, the Mark of Severus. He's a couple of steps forward. Knowledgeable as you are about the gods. The rest of you, the Mark of Severus is not an uncommon symbol. It is generally used as a symbol of good to ward off poor luck. This one is wearing quite a lot of it. Elias stands forward and says, for a most impressive demonstration of the events we will face, my second point is Toad, who I believe will lead to us being able to navigate the devastating forestation of the storm. Toad, please, I would be welcome for you on my team.
Oh, hello. And he kind of like very enthusiastically waves as he walks over to where he's meant to go.
Madik. My next selection, I will choose Colin, the Ranger. Corin, Korin, Colin, the Ranger. As I believe that, similar to Alara, the territory we will go through will be most important. A demonstrated mastery of this particular swampy environment. Corin walks forward, a tall female, human, kind of sleek black hair, very piercing green eyes, footsteps very quiet, wearing practical leather armor. Similar-ish, but you would imagine, kind of, somebody who'd spent a lot of their time. Armor is clearly well worn, well used, and confident in their gait and walk. Ilara, well, I must say, if we're going to talk about fighting, then I am for one who always believes there are other alternatives. And for that, Astrophos, your display was most impressive. I believe you can deter the opponent's blades long before they hit you. It is preferable to striking them yourself. Astrophos, please.
He steps forward and probably catches eyes with Casimir as he begins to walk towards the Ilara.
There's only so many rivals on one day a man can take. And Casimir probably just sighs.
Malik steps forward. I will choose the final one. Sorry, my next selection. Talorin Veldel. For his impressive display with flaming blade work and using his own body to attack his foes. At this point, standing at a good 6'2", hair incredibly dark as it falls back, streaked with the occasional silver pulling through. deep blue eyes. Physique muscular, but slightly leaner than you'd expect from a warrior. Kind of moves with a certain agility and grace. His clothes ripped, almost as if he has grown and shrunk in thing, and carrying 2 bladed scimitars in his back. And as he walks, you see there are deep grooves and cuts in his back, that are fresh, as if something has recently cut him up the back. He's wearing a crescent moon pendant around his chest. Lara steps forward and says, for his display of stealth that I believe will be most useful in our environment, I choose Pod. Please come forward.
Oh, he points to himself. Oh, me? Seriously? Oh, fantastic. Hi. He seems genuinely surprised that he's got chosen for this.
Malik comes forward. I believe that on this mission there will be some things where one's own safety will have to be disregarded for the need for success. I choose the Berserker, Gruff Borum, and you see this stocky dwarf, braided red hair, multiple piercings, lots of tattoos, 2 twin axes on his back, kind of stride forward, completely naked from kind of the waist upwards. Kind of stride forward towards Malik to finish his team. Sorry, there's one more in his team. Elias steps forward and says, for a most interesting display, and one where I am sure will be of much use for others, and just the sheer versatility of something that I certainly can admire, Archibald.
And Darvis trundles over. Yeah, right. And then he sort of sidles up for just a couple of words of gratitude and goes, mate, you've made the best, worst, correct choice you'll ever make. I promise you, you'll never regret to forgive to forget it.
It's wonderful to have you on the team, Archibald, and I must say I was most impressed with your carpentry skills and your ability to ride that donkey and scale that tree. All skills, I am sure, will be necessary in this expedition.
We'll never go slow and we'll never go
Wonderful. Please join the others. Finally, Malik steps forward and says, I am one who believes that morale must be kept high. For that, I would choose Brom, 3 Fingers Gludel, a stout halfling bard with a lute that seems to be missing a string and that has definitely seen better days, steps forward, kind of looking as shocked as Pod did to get chosen, kind of looks around excitedly, leaps almost as high as he is, and kind of rushes past Casimir as he goes to be selected. Casimir, at this point, your ego is bruised.
He kind of turns to Mateus and says, do you know, I really have to question the decision-making skills of those in charge. They clearly have problems. Maybe it's best that we're not selected.
At this point,
I fear we
you
may wish to look elsewhere.
You see Alara kind of come forward and say, and for my my final choice, I choose Aqua. And you see there's a pause and kind of Caleb grabs her and kind of there's some intense discussion. Says, apologies, my final choice is Ivor Montague of Sacramar. Please step forward.
Yay. He walks forward with deep mal-enthusiasm.
As he does, Quan kind of like sort of gives him a nudge and says, don't worry, I don't think that was in any particular order.
You hear was also from
He
the
just
side.
looks at Quan like
You're
he's said
picking
something
last, are
really
you?
rude.
Yeah,
Wait,
Fazul-
Fazul says that to me?
Yeah.
Do you know at this point, how many people are here?
There's several hundred people here.
Right.
I
You know,
thought so.
sometimes it pays to be underestimated. He laughs really, really quite falsely.
Only if you don't deserve it, which I'm sure you do.
You.
Alex says, come now, we won't be fighting. We are all on the same side, after all. Except, we are in competition. Best of luck.
Wait to work together, but not.
Best of luck, Alara. I'm sure one of us will bring Razor's head back and claim the prize.
Boys, quick huddle. He turns to the group that's been selected.
Ilara says, oh, puddles, I do love these. What are we talking about?
Right, listen, under normal circumstances, I would hate each and every single one of you quite intimately. However, as it has been brought to my attention, this is in fact a competition in which I can beat him. And he looks over at Zol Temporal. In order to win, I fear we shall have to work together, which means I cannot hate you. Therefore, I must like you all. Thus, I look forward to working together with you. I will ensure that we become the world's greatest fighting force. We are a mercenary band that the world shall sing the praises of for ages to come. And he raises his voice, shall deliver Razor Jaylin's head to you on a silver platter before they have figured out they're holding the map the wrong way round. Good talk, everyone.
Juan immediately starts clapping really loudly. Great motivation. He looks genuinely very motivated after that, especially when Casimir kind of talked about being friends. He didn't really notice the part about being instantly before that, but definitely seemed very enthusiastic about the last part.
I can't wait. It's going to be so good.
Pure
So,
friendship.
I'm afraid,
Friendship.
Mr. Montague, that I'm uncomfortable being in the company of a man who won't give me his real name.
Can we do this later? I mean, frankly, I'm not comfortable being in the company of someone that tried to assassinate me, but I'm willing to let that one slide if you'll let my name slide.
At this point, just so you know, Ilara and Malik have both been called away to discuss with Kalim about what is going on. So you have all been left to your own devices.
Oh.
Both teams are kind of standing quite separate.
Okay, if we're separate, then he'll say, it's Casimir Crossley. I'm not a ranger, I'm a necromancer. The cat, the panther, was taxidermy. I stole it from the museum this morning. If they're asking, I didn't do it. It broke itself out. Under my orders. I can command any corpse I see to do whatever I want.
That explains so much.
Mm.
Okay.
Obviously, I couldn't show that in the trial of skill, but I think if we work together to become the world's greatest fighting force, you'll have to know that. So,
Mateus interrupts.
Wait.
Does that mean I'm not a Fae anymore?
you're not a Fae anymore. Well done. You're my...
Great. This guy's a prick. Don't trust a single word he says. I hate him.
Oh, that's cruel.
Mateus.
Mateus is also a prick. Don't trust a single word he says. I hate him too.
Mercy leans in and is like, what are you?
Mateus?
Yeah.
I'm dead.
That
He's dead.
explains it.
He's very dead, yes.
You should have moved on. Your semblance of life is an affront to everything the weave holds.
I agree. If you can think of any way to get rid of him, I'm all ears. I'm fed up of his complaining.
You keep summoning me back. Clearly I have some use. Can't do it yourself. Pour my wine, fight my enemies, clean my art. Fucking.
Tell me,
So
Casimir, does he make his own decisions, or is he your puppet?
He can. He does make his own decisions to the point that it may be detrimental to my cause. If they should prove detrimental, he is not allowed to act upon those urges. So he can complain, he just can't do anything about it. And he can't complain in a way that will endanger me, per se. So he couldn't ask for help or say he was a spirit bound to my will earlier until I allowed it. But we're stuck together, so you have to put up with me.
Caspian.
Yes, part.
That's not my name.
Casper. Are you royalty?
No.
Juan just whispers very loudly, "It's Casimir."
Oh, sorry. Casimir. But you have an undead servant and you're not royalty.
I mean,
Actually, so they normally,
Doesn't really
they normally have
exaggerated
lives.
out.
Then.
I mean, in a manner, I suppose I could be.
Oh, okay, that makes sense then. And then he seems quite pleased that now that you've explained it.
So, could we maybe get to the point, Mercy, of your attempt on my life? I just feel like maybe we should talk about this as a group. This individual tried to murder me before the trial for no particular reason. I mean, like I said, I can let it slide. I just need to know you're not going to do it again, because frankly, I would love to travel in the company of someone who failed to kill me, because every breath you take will be a reminder to you of your own ineptitude and your ability to kill someone who frankly can't fight in melee for shit. Which does actually worry me. You can fight better than what you showed earlier, can't you?
What? I'm sorry. Something very, very worrying is happening. The influence you've had on the weave is potentially catastrophic.
What are you talking about? Stop.
You don't need to worry about
No, Why?
violence from me.
Good. Weave. You called me an aberrant earlier, which, to be honest, I'll take over whatever the fuck he called me. And he keeps looking back at the Zulchembrel. It's maybe a bit unhealthy at this point. The spirit of competition is strong with this one. Aberrant, what is that?
It is someone who does not belong in our world.
Right.
You have a destiny. Well, you
A great
do.
one, I'm sure.
You do. You have a past, a present, and a future. And everything you do affects the world around you. Every decision you make is like a fork in the road, except there are a million forks, and everyone makes a million decisions. So, when someone doesn't have that, it's worrying, to say the least. You do not. And I believe that you have caused this man to lose his.
I don't have a place in the weave. The tapestry of fate. You're saying I don't have a fate? It's completely blank.
Which means you should not exist.
And fates are something that pre-written, yes? It's sort of a script. You're all just dancing along to a script.
Something like.
And you're saying Quan and I aren't scripted.
I'm saying in the world, when the gods made it, there was a place for everything. And you were not made.
So the gods made places in the world for people, and yet Quan and I exist outside of the gods' realm, which sort of puts us above them, doesn't it? Kind of nudges Quan and says, that actually sounds like quite a good thing. I'll take that.
You just hear, like, Quan mutter under his breath, blasphemy.
It's no laughing matter.
What's the problem?
Well, the unravelling of the weave, for one.
It seems to hold itself together. I don't see any disasters occurring around me. I never have.
Well, consider yourself the pebble that will stir the avalanche. I hope you understand that.
Good. That's good. I need
No,
an avalanche to do what
that's
it is I
bad.
want to do.
Pod turns to Toad and just goes, all getting on so well already.
I think we're all going to be the best of friends.
I think so too.
So at this point, Ilara and Malik return, and they both, and Caleb, Luminar, and both kind of descend and say, very well, the two teams are chosen. Your champions of Fort Valor, Creditors Federation, and the Bulwark. The expedition shall leave in a week's time. During that time, you all have preparations to make, maps to study, plans to make, and I wish you very best of luck. In that time, you are all welcome to stay in my family's residence, Fort Valor's Manor and Fort. I'm sure we will get to know each other over the next week. I'm sure each of you will have much to get to know about each other's skills and weaknesses during that time. And I am trusting some of you, look pointedly at your group, with the life of my daughter.
Is that
Best of
implying that both teams are staying in the same place?
Yeah, absolutely. You guys are all staying together under the same roof
For a week?
for a week.
Nice.
How do we
It's
get
gonna
this
only
last
go
week
well.
without killing them?
Can only go well.
I'd
Well,
like to look at the other group.
Yes.
DM, do I get this? What's the average power level? Like, do I sense that we are at an advantage or a disadvantage?
Make an insight check.
I'm really wise. I'm so wise.
Can
It's a
I
natural
read?
one.
Right. You make the insight check, You look at Malik, you look at Ilara, you believe that both of these people are equally gifted at picking and choosing a coherent team, that both of these people are here to win in the most honorable way possible, and there is no underhandedness at play, that both of you are an equally skilled and developed team.
Can we all roll insight? I mean, I imagine we're sizing each other up, right?
Yeah, you can you can all roll against either the other group or the leaders in specific.
That natural one fits into my delusions so well.
Yeah. You on your own
The dice just know.
crater any disadvantage you see. If Nalos or Taloran or Brom look strong, you look stronger. Fuck them.
Is this insight you said?
Zul, what a joke.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Jamie, can I do a weave read on?
I got
Yeah,
a
you can do-
17. I got a
You
17
can do a
for
weave read
insight.
on the whole other group if you want, yes.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
17 on Pod. What are you looking for, Pod?
I'm looking at the other team. I want to know just kind of how competent they look. Like, is there anyone bluffing?
Yeah.
Does anyone?
You get the
they
sense
all look- Yeah.
that looking up at them, Gruff and Corin and Brom are certainly towards the weaker end of their group. Gruff looks like he just enjoys a fight. That's what he's here for. Corin, super not familiar with maybe these some types. There's some aspiration to his confidence rather than sheer of it its own. Brom, it's the morale pick. Taloran, Nalos, Fazul, they look quite strong. Those are the ones you.
How do their
identify as a problem.
equipment look like? Does anything look like they're wearing
Lauren?
particularly expensive things?
Fazul certainly is. Nalos, there's an air of confidence about him, as if he knows what's about to happen. Talor, however, it looks like a man not akin to violence. Other roles. Toad.
Yes, I would like to roll to determine who I am most likely able to become friends with.
On the other group, sure.
Yes. I'm gonna use my special d20 again, now that Inez is here to see it. There you go.
Very pretty. Hell yeah. Spellcaster dice. Big shout out.
It's got little mushrooms in it. It's amazing.
I love it.
And
Very
moss
sick.
and stuff. Okay. Wait, it's scuffed. It fell off the table. Wait, let's do it again. 12.
Alright,
12?
Nalos-
Wait.
Sorry, I realized I was saying Nalos is female. Sorry, just to clarify.
What's my modifier for this? Sorry, is this an insight check?
Yes.
Then it is a 16 total.
16. Looking at the other group, you identify probably Nalos, Bron, Corin, potentially Fazul as the friendliest of the other group. Fazul in a way that if you choose to be nice to him, worship him as he deserves, he'd probably be nice to you back. But the others, genuinely friendly. Taloran, Gruff, you have to earn their respect first. Any other insight rolls for anything? I know we've got the weave roll with Mercy I'll come back to. Quan, what are you rolling for?
So I was just kind of rolling to compare our team to their team. Like,
Sorry, what's your roll?
it was a 13.
13. Difficult to say. Vastly different skill sets. You get the sense that in a straight up tavern brawl, their team has it. But trekking across a variable landscape, your team definitely has the more diverse set of skills. If you all threw down your weapons and punched each other in the face, it's not a competition. Their team wins. But that's not what this is. Arvis or Archibald, anything you're rolling for?
That's a 19 there, and that was really to discern who among them were particularly perceptive.
You look at the other group, and for you, teams are all about their leaders. You're disappointed. You're really disappointed. You look at Malik, and you see somebody who knows how to get things done, who comes from a world you understand, who has picked a team with a certain objective, and is ruthlessly going to achieve it. You look at Malik, and you see somebody who, if you understand in that moment, who gets, if you and your group get between him and what he wants, you're as much an enemy as anybody else. And you look at Ilara, and you see somebody you think slightly naive, somebody who may or may not need some guidance from the team, and somebody who would definitely put what they would consider the greater good above everything else, rather than the raw self-interest that you believe Malik shows. And you would align perhaps more with Malik, and you're disappointed in your team lead and understand that there's going to need to be some coaching so that perhaps she understands the way of the world, at least from Arvis's perspective.
Cool. Yeah.
And from the perspective aspect, the rest of the other group, you're worried about Nalos, you're worried about Corin, and you're worried about Malik. Messi, your role.
So I failed my weave roll, but really, I mean, maybe you'll give me this, because what I want to know is this tiefling a weaver?
They are not a weaver, but you understand that they are a wizard who is able, on some level, to discern the weave. She is perhaps more perceptive, or at least more changeable than you are. And whilst the weave warps ever so slightly around them, it is in a way that they have some aspect of control of, rather than shearing, or perhaps being separate. She is a divination wizard.
Yeah. Okay.
Odds,
Jim,
eyes.
to come back to that one query of just about who among them sharp in the eye.
Who's sharp in the eye? Sorry, Corin, naturally Nalos, and Malik. Do you get the sense surprising Malik would be a hard task? Nalos bears himself as a woman who is not going to be surprised by much, and Corin's eyes dart backwards and forth. They are not particularly familiar with the surroundings, but they are constantly alert.
Oh my god.
Gruff, Fazul, Talorin, you get the sense they can fight. They feel they can fight their way out of anything. Brom, a little bit useless in your opinion.
I have a really important question that I can't believe I've not
Are
asked.
any of them hot? Is what you're
Are
asking.
they
Ooh,
hot?
are hot? What is the ranking?
The first
Okay.
Are They Hot of the campaign. Let's go.
Tell me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nobody here is a furry, so unfortunately Malik doesn't quite make it.
But if we were furries, would Malik be hot?
Would Malik-
Hey,
Yeah,
I don't want to go
course,
down
'cause
that
it's
road.
D&D Fantasy Boys, whatever. But
Cool.
I will say, certainly, Brom is a slightly older halfling bard and isn't super hot. Corin, if you're into slightly sinewy rangers. Talorin, if you're into the larger violent men. Nalos, certainly
Yeah.
hot. Gruff, if you're into very aggressive dwarfs, is attractive.
Yeah.
But I will say, if we're going to have tiers, the higher tier of their attractiveness falls under Talorin, Nalos, Fazul, Corin. The others, not everybody.
Fazul, Taloran?
Corin, Talorin, Nalos, Fazul.
Okay, but more importantly, is our party hotter than their party?
Yeah, we've got the artwork for your party.
I'm
It's
in
much
it.
hotter.
Hell yeah. Let's go.
I mean, two of us are pretty good at changing what we look like. You just be whatever we want to be. I'm going to shapeshift into Ryan Gosling, if possible now.
And those,
Why do you think Ryan goes out?
He's
those-
literally me.
because it's literally Ken. I don't know what you mean. His
He's
job is
Ken.
D&D.
He's pretty.
And that is going to be the party over the first arc that will be your competition, that will be attempting to defeat Razor, that will, if you guys take too long or go the wrong direction or go back, may well get there first, get to ruins first, get to objectives first, and may well beat you. And they go off with Malik into the keep, and Alara leaves you to bond. And for the last however long it is of this session, you guys can chat amongst yourselves, amongst saying hi, any unresolved issues, and between now and next session, you can think about how you are going to prepare over the next week to beat this team, to defeat Razor, and free the Stormlands of the kidnappings, the guerrilla warfare, the harrying of supply lines that her and the Ivory Forsaken have performed. I'll leave it to you for the rest of the session.
I don't see any problems. I'm sure we won't struggle to beat them, but we'll need to work quite hard, I think.
Well,
Just thinking of
actually,
ourselves.
on the subject of problems, and he kind of talks a little bit, and he was completely unfazed by Casimir talking about being a necromancer. He didn't really seem bothered by it, but he does sort of lower his voice a bit and say, "But Casimir, you are intending to replace the taxidermy items that you stole from the museum, correct? Like, I don't think that it would be a good start of our journey together if it was, based on theft. I really think that as soon as we're back, you should consider at least writing a formal apology or
I
giving some monetary value back to the museum."
I think if anyone's going to do that, it should be Fsul, let's be honest. The panther would be not alive, but it would be well, perfectly well, were it not sent to its early grave by, that monstrosity that calls himself a man with his big fucking flaming sword. He's the one that's robbed Fort Valor of its one and only taxidermy panther, not me. I think that sounds like a him problem, personally.
Quan sighs, puts his hand on Casimir's shoulder and says, "Sometimes, Casimir, we must look inside ourselves to really come to the correct understanding of where our paths lead and the right path we must take."
Why are you
And
touching me?
the sentence doesn't really make much sense, but you get an overwhelming sense of feeling like you know, should probably do the right thing here.
I will tell Fazul Chambrel to write a letter of apology to the Panther's original owner.
Not quite what I was going for, but this is a step in the right direction, and I really think it's great that you're, talking about this at least.
Thank you for your guidance, oh great paladin. Which god did you say you served again?
Oh, I'm not great in any sense. I'm just a mere
Just-
servant.
Ubiquitously, just all the gods, just sort of. You dabble? Anyone in particular? No?
He looks quite offended at the idea of serving all of the gods. Well, you don't
Casimir,
seem...
Casimir, could you make a wisdom saving throw for me?
Oh, a wisdom saving throw. Oh. It's a natural one!
Oh
In
no,
your
again.
head. Emerging from Quan, you hear a very weak voice, as if not weak in the sense there's no power behind it. It's very far away. It just says, "I know you," and it kind of trails off.
What the fuck?
What does that mean?
Do I know this voice?
No, you've never heard a voice like this before in your entire life, and it doesn't seem to be coming from Quan. It seems emerging from somewhere far away, but you hear it.
Right.
Is everything okay?
It's been a day. I've had my beloved animal companion as of 8 hours. Brutally murdered.
Yes, yes. In fact, I think we should all have a moment of silence for Casimir's beloved companion.
Specimen 17 is his name. I read it on the plaque at the museum.
Specimen 17, yes, letter.
Yes.
And he puts his head down and he sort of like closes his eyes and encourages everyone to follow suit for specimen 17.
It
Toad
was
will.
so sleek. They did such a good job manicuring his little nails.
Toad will bow his head in prayer alongside Quan and the others, and he'll say, "May Specimen 17 return to the Earth and become nothing but dust in the cosmos, as is
He's
the way of
already-
the world."
He's already dust, but thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're right, Your Majesty.
Casimir just smiles as though he's getting used to that.
He says that with zero sarcasm in his voice.
So Arvis probably approaches Casimir at that point and goes,
Ivor, mate. quick word in your ear, mate.
Of course.
Sure, it's bathroom bell.
So, couldn't help overhear your conversation about some kind of letter of apology. Is that what I was hearing correctly? Or?
Well, I imagine he'll tell me to fuck off, but I'm going to put it to him anyway. My intent for the next however long I have to deal with him is to make his life a misery as best I can, so.
Well, it just got me thinking. If we were to try and implicate him, it'd be too hard if, I suppose if we wrote the letter, But as him.
Do you think we could testify to him beating up an animal that we've recognised and...
Mate, I think we could at least...
You must have stolen it to use as target practice before the trial of skill. Horrible behaviour.
It's disgusting behaviour, and frankly,
Terrible.
I wouldn't stand for it, And I don't think the law around here would do so either. So I'm just thinking that if a couple of testimonies were to be drafted, I think...
His own I like the way you're thinking. Good. Because listen, everyone. Evenly matched though we are in a fight, I'm really quite happy to use any tactics necessary to secure a win against them. So if there is anything, absolutely anything you can think of to throw any of them off their game, let's do it in the next week.
Well, that's music to my ears, really. I like to think ways to achieve things. So
Yes.
I'm
Pragmatic.
all ears, and he wiggles his kind of mouse-like ears.
I must caution any act of sabotage over the next week, or any interaction with their party. Their diviner, the one called Nalus, they are gifted in the ways of prophecy, and you may find more anticipation than you would believe.
So we need to separate their diviner from whatever it is we're doing. If they're not there to stop whatever they've seen, then what use is seeing the future?
Well,
I mean, yeah, well, you could just absolutely separate their divine. Oh, maybe. God forbid, the gods forbid, but if he were to be separated from his cranium, of course, it's just many options, of course.
Do you know, I was thinking we could put a sack over his head, but if you want to take his head off, then sure, let's do it.
Not take it off is very strong wording. It
If it
just
was-
be a
if it was
series
in-
of events to which led to it not being as close to his body as it typically.
Okay, we have a plan. Good.
I mean, might I suggest that our plans stay at least legal? I don't imagine this plan in itself really helps the goal of apprehending the bandits. If everyone remembers, that's what our goal is.
How important is it to you all? Getting the bandits? Why are you here?
Well, I felt it just seemed like the right thing to do, but also, well, the elves are not very keen on all the deforestation that's been happening, so they're hoping that maybe if the Creditors Federation can spread into the Stormlands instead, perhaps they'll stop with that. So, I think maybe if I can just help somehow, that would be nice. But
Help.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a wonderful goal. Truly, I respect that, Toad, and hopefully we can help you in your, well, journey to making sure that doesn't happen.
Thank you.
Or at least slowing it and stopping it. I myself, I think that these bandits must be causing a great deal of suffering and problems and pain for people, so that is definitely important to me. that we stop that. Wait, is Casimir doing that? Is Casimir like sarcastically nodding his head?
Wonderful.
Okay.
Very noble.
And yeah, he is oblivious to that and sees Casimir nodding and starts nodding back and says, "I'm so glad that we can see eye to eye on this, Casimir. You are a much more different man than originally I thought. I'm so glad to see it."
I've had a really strange day. Odd. Why are you here? You're muted, bud.
It just seems like a interesting place to be. I go all sorts of places. I've been here, I've been around. I mean, other than here, I'd be in the tavern, I guess, and I don't know, they're probably not going to let me back in again, actually.
Why? Why is that?
I believe their exact words were, "You're driving away customers."
Why? Dare I ask?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know.
I'm sure we'll figure it out soon enough. Mercy, you're here to murder me, unless there's another reason you've come.
Well, while that was my original instruction, it seems that we've had other plans.
We'd had other plans.
Khan's like, oh, I should have got that guy some water and maybe a snack or two.
Toad gently moves the rain cloud back over towards Mercy again.
No more rain. I'm tired of being wet.
Oh, sorry about that. And he moves rain cloud back to just be dripping on his shoulder instead. Charlie's just like raving away in the mushrooms, having a great old time, nibbling on a little blue flower.
This campaign's got weird already.
No more rain.
Tired of the rain.
I don't think I could hurt you even if I wanted to. I think that has been made painfully obvious. First the tent, then the barrel.
The barrel?
Never mind. I am here to keep an eye on you, to make sure you don't hurt any more people like you did to Mr. Kwan. And
I'm sorry, Khan, by the way, for whatever it is I did. I'm not, but thought I'd say it.
I feel fine. Thank you for your concern, Mercy.
well, we'll see. Anyway, I will be here to keep an eye on Casimir, and perhaps the weave will determine to fix this aberration naturally. It does sometimes happen, like a wound healing itself over.
As in the weave will just smite me at some point.
Well, you'll just
like a wound.
Yes, you'll fall perhaps, and you'll hit your head.
I'll be counting on your healing ability, my friend Paladin. And
what's the plural of smite? I feel like, given this is all I play,
yeah, you just smite multiple people. There's no plural of smite.
Not
Smeeties.
my smitings.
What about
Smitten.
Nice
smitten?
smitings.
Yeah, smitten or
My
smote.
smits.
You smote various bitches.
Smeets.
Smeets. Yeah, I like Smeets.
Mr. Smeets, actually.
I like Smeets.
Smited.
Smeet.
Wait, that's
Smitties.
past.
Pass.
Not-
That's
not
past.
plural. Wait,
Pass.
I will smite various people. It's a verb. It doesn't have a past tense.
My smites are very powerful. Yeah, it's smites.
Raise the flag, Mr. Smeets.
Okay.
And then, Arvis, why are you here?
Arthur goes, as if like he would
wait,
maybe.
are you just Archibald to us?
Yes, I'm probably more familiar as
Archibald.
Archibald thus far.
What is
Yeah.
it you want to gain from this venture?
And he's sort of just as before you get the last syllable out, it's like, yeah, well, yeah. As you saw, I'm just normal bloke, really. Got a few trades going for, just trying to earn an honest living, and wrap it up. I think Quan really, really said what we're all thinking. And he lights his pipe.
Okay, just to make this clear, I'm here to win. I'm here for power. I'm here for money. I will not accept anything less than the best. We will absolutely succeed in everything that we do, and I expect you all to come in with the same attitude.
I don't really need money, but you can have it.
Thank you.
Can I ask? Pod puts his hand up, like in the classroom. Can I ask, why is your friend dead?
Mateus, why are you dead?
You forbade me for talking about it.
Yes, I did.
Would you like me to give him some last rites? Maybe help him
No.
pass on?
Could
Are
you?
you sure?
You could get him to leave.
Maybe. Anything is possible. I'm under kill him for.
Alright.
I
Let's
could
get rid
also
of him.
help him decompose if the last rites don't work. I think actually those guys have already gotten a little head start, and he kind of gestures at the mushroom colony that has that started on the shoulder earlier is now spread halfway across Marcus's chest.
What a great idea! Together,
Or Mateus.
we can make him pass on. I'll say the rights, you decompose him.
Teamwork
Mateus,
sounds fantastic.
Do you consent to attempted decomposition and sending away?
No, I'd rather just you let me go, frankly.
We've tried that.
Whatever works. It doesn't.
Alright then, later. Let's try get rid of him.
So,
Absolutely. Whenever you want.
as you all, obviously, for you all to think about between now and next session, and by next session I mean tell me a couple of days in advance, not Wednesday at 7 p.m. How do you spend the next week preparing? Obviously, there are opportunities for roleplay. We won't immediately jump into you guys leaving, but it would be great if you had to think about, you have been selected for the expedition. You have a rival team. Are you going to try to sabotage them? What are you going to equip? What are you going to request and ask for? What would be most pertinent for your group when venturing into unknown lands? And whether or not when you ask for stuff, if you don't ask for it now, you won't have it. So stuff like a map. If you don't ask for it, you're not having it.
We want
However,
a map.
it exists, that would be great to ask for as an example. Also, obviously, whether or not there is any information about Razor, what that's going to reveal to look like, we shall review or talk about next session. In regards to what happens now, Toad, that feeling that you had when you first met Pod, same feeling you have whenever you're around Quan, but you can't quite figure out what went right then that's going wrong now, why that disconnect isn't quite there. Us, you want to win. And I imagine you've probably identified that, if not at a disadvantage, then certainly there's some input you would have as to what your group's going to need to try to achieve that objective. Mercy. I'm Toad a little bit. Toad, you're off put. There are far too many birds around this fort. Mercy. You receive various ravens and crows asking about your progress directly from Yaris Fu. And you can only reply that the weave has not allowed you to carry out your mission. Casimir, that voice lingers in the back of your mind. You don't know where it came from. Quan, before we finish the session, a final wisdom saving throw.
Okay then. That's a 9.
My exarch and my champion. I knew I was right to follow you. Is all you hear in your head, Quan? As we leave the session, thank you everybody for watching, and we will leave it there.
Oh
Goodbye.
my god!
And thank you for watching. I hope you join us next week. Goodbye.
Your ground floor. Ignore the entire world that you can't be ignored. Then go make yourself a ruckus. Say fuck this, I'm kicking down their damn door. I ain't saying that it's easy, baby, but goddamn it, is it complicated? I got scars to prove it, taking steps to date. It's just a matter of time before we make it. I ain't saying that it's easy, baby, but goddamn it, is it complicated? I got scars to prove it, taking steps to date. It's just a matter of time before we break shit. Yeah. The problem is, I've been keeping my eye on you. Why don't you show me something you got in the tank? Ooh, words count for nothing. You can't buy food with a thank you. You run your mouth about how you be crafting dank brews, but another month is passing. Your Spotify is still blank. Boo, thought you were gonna paint too. You were making gains too. This is kinda lame. You're still looking like the same.